audio cassette. This strange little thing. We had vinyl, we had 8 tracks, and then these. Not the best sound quality. It was stereo, that's good. And it was actually, could be eaten by tape decks, but here's what was great. It was portable. This allowed this to go into a Walkman or a boombox, the same cassette, or put it into your car or your home stereo. This changed everything. And so, yeah, this is my first tape. And of course, I kept collecting tapes for a while. I found 4 of them as an example. This is Hold Your Fire. This is A Show of Hands. Again, same time period. You can kind of see a little window, right? I went back to this, had to get this, but these were around that same time period. This is what we had for a time period, right? If it wasn't vinyl, and just before CD, we had tapes. All right, so in 1974, that's when Rush basically was born, okay? 74. The same year I was born. And in that year, their very first album was called it was called Rush. And of course, John Rutsey was the drummer for this one. You see the track listing on the back. And of course, we are looking at the CDs because they're just easier to hold. And if I scoot this direction, right back there, you can actually see that's my remastered, updated, double like vinyl copy. It's got a lot of really cool goodies in it. It comes in a big kind of pizza box. I'll show you to you in a little bit. But for now, just so I can manage all of these years of music and all of these albums, we're looking at CDs. So no long boxes this time around, but yes, very first album was Rush. Finding My Way, Need Some Love, Take a Friend, Here Again, What You're Doing, In the Mood, Before and After, and Working Man. Rush, 74. After that, albums came very quickly back then, right? The guys would release an album, they'd go on the road, okay, to tour to support it. Meanwhile, they'd be writing songs while they're on the road, and then right back into the studio with a really abbreviated, short amount of time to cut an album. You guys know the story. You've seen the documentaries. Well, why I bring this up is because, yes, right around the corner came Fly By Night. Now, between these 2 albums, a lot happened. John Rutsey left the band, and they needed a drummer. It's that simple. Just like in the documentary, we needed a drummer. So, who do they find? They got a lot more than they asked for. They found Neil Peart, working at a tractor supply company, a farm equipment store with his dad. And so that's what he was doing. So they get Neil, they get money, and to actually cut the album, and they record Fly By Night. And this time around, Neil starts writing lyrics. And we start to see some of the longer songs come into play, right? What Neil and Rush became known for, why we love them. Neil Peart's lyrics with all of that amazing music from the boys. So, Fly By Night, the first one with Neil. Anthem, Best I Can, Beneath, Between, Behind, what a great song. By Torn a Snow Dog, another great song. Fly By Night, not my favorite. Making Memories, Rivendell. Okay, so this is Neil, all right? Loves Tolkien, he loves The Hobbit, he loves Lord of the Rings, Rivendell, and finally, In the End. Now, what's cool is, with some of the very first albums, I have it, of course, okay? The CD right there, Mercury label. Now, however, there were remastered versions, okay? I own it, but my friend Joel had the remastered versions. I had to have a copy. So I made a copy. So yeah, that's what this is. This is Rush, and this is Rush Remastered Original. I believe I did that for the first few albums. Fly By Night, same thing. As you can see here, original and my remastered copy. My friend Joel lives in Texas. I just mentioned him a moment ago with regard to Dream Theater. And this next one kind of puzzles me a little bit. I was kind of flipping through these before we did this. And this is Crest of Steel. What does it say right here? The Rush remasters. What's funny is, okay, this is the remastered version of Caress of Steel, okay, the third album. But for some reason I have this. I have no idea why. Maybe I was just being thorough that day. Now, what's great about this remastered is that the see-through, okay, where there's actually a little bit of extra art in here. That's that's what was sacrificed. Yes, CDs are better, okay, sound quality, much better sound quality. And as we move from analog recording to analog mastering to analog production of the actual CD, right? Those three, the AAD, and finally we went DDD, a complete digital pipeline to recording, mastering, and actually producing music. Point is, though, we sacrificed a lot. We sacrificed real estate, actually room to show off all the amazing photos and artwork. I mean, look at that. You know, and at my age, I can't begin to read that, right? As a young man, maybe I could read those lyrics. Now, forget about it. Forget about it. So that is the bummer about CDs, and why I took the time to look for those long boxes and search for them with you. I wanted to find them. Again, long boxes were a great, step between, okay? Going from big, beautiful vinyl, okay, the size of the artwork and the presentation of the album, down to this little dinky thing. It's worse now, right? With streaming and downloads, come on, there really is no artwork, except for a cheap little JPEG that represents the album. You know, you look at watching Spotify and there's this crappy little... That's not the artist's vision. And that just bothers me. Another reason why I love to collect vinyl now. Okay? The artwork, the presentation, what the artist, in this case Rush, dreamt of producing and giving us, okay, the complete package, if you will. And as we know, Neil spent a lot of time in the actual production. And so, all right, so Caress of Steel, here we go. Bastille Day, I Think I'm Going Bald, which they wrote for a friend. Lakeside Park classic. Necromancer, huge song, right? Dark but good song. The Fountain of Lamneth. You know, I never say that right. The Fountain of Lamneth, okay? Another multi-part song, okay? Some really big stuff on here. Some people love this album, some people don't. It's a great album, okay? Caress of Steel. Next up, you've heard it 100 times from me. 2112, the album that changed everything. Earlier I showed you my actual cassette tape. That cassette tape changed everything. When I heard that, it was done. It was over. It was Rush for the rest of my life as the number one slot in my favorite bands. However, I did, of course, finally get the CD. I probably own a couple of them. And yeah, no remastered in here. I mean, I own so many copies. But yeah, here we go. 2112. Of course, we have the entire suite. 7 parts. 2112, which is technically track 1 or side 1, which includes the overture, Temples of Syrinx, Discovery, Presentation, Oracle, The Dream, Soliloquy, and Grand Finale. After that, some regular songs, if you will, right? Not part of 2112. A Passage to Bangkok, Twilight Zone, Lessons, Tears, and Something for Nothing. Before we leave 2112, in the world of CD, this is the big anniversary, 40th anniversary. We had Rush, 1, 2, Fly By Night, 3, Caress of Steel, and 4, 2112. What do you do after the 4th album? You cut your very first live album. Okay? This is fantastic. All the World's a Stage. Farewell to Kings. Fantastic album. First track, Farewell to Kings. Second track, Xanadu. In recent days, this has been one of my dad's favorite songs. He started off with La Via Strangiato, and he knows every nuance of that song. But then he discovered Xanadu, and I have not heard the last of Xanadu. He talks about Xanadu all the time. And then, Closer to the Heart. One of the most played songs ever in all of their tours. It's possible they've played it in every tour. But yes, I mean, it's a fantastic song with amazing lyrics, closer to the heart. Cinderella Man, Magical, and finally, Cygnus X-1. Of course, this is book 1 of Cygnus. And in this, of course, are fearless captain flies his Rosinante into a black hole and is torn apart at the atom level, right? Just obliterated. But it's that, the fact that there's a song about a guy in a spaceship flying into a black hole, soaring across the galaxies, past all these constellations and through these star systems and galaxies. And it's just, what an amazing song. I love Cygnus. One of my favorite songs, easily. Farewell to Kings. Next up in the list, of course, is the 40th anniversary of Farewell to Kings. And in this, we have 3. I believe one of these is a live album, previously unreleased. Really cool, right? And then it's got a nice, big old, beautiful book. The big old, beautiful book right here. Okay. And it's got some really nice artwork, reproductions, and some new stuff, and a really nice big story at the beginning, written by Rob Bowman. And of course, our boys right there, circa Farewell to Kings era. So, Farewell to Kings. Following that, we have to take it up a notch, right? And what do? We do Cygnus Book 2. And what is that? That is Hemispheres, the album. And technically the song. The first one is Cygnus X-1, Book 2, Hemispheres. Prelude, Apollo Dionysus, Armageddon, Cygnus, and the Sphere. And in this song, our captain finds himself at the foot of Mount Olympus, and all the gods are warring. And it talks about how there's two sides to every man, or two sides to a people, right? There's this logical, mathematical, organized side, which is all work, no play. Makes Jack a dull boy, but the other side is art, right? And it's all illustrated by the man in the bowler's cap on one hemisphere of the brain, and then I just pointed the wrong way. And then the artsy guy who's fully nude on the other side. And the beautiful thing is that our main protagonist, he becomes the balance between the two. You can have both. Okay, you can have reason, okay, and common sense, and all those things of science and rational thought, but also we can be artistic and stuff, which really in a big way kind of defines Rush, right? They're creating art, but so much of it is, the science of music is math, okay? Music at its essence is math. Now you can treat it that way, or you can create art with it. But realizing, though, at its nuts and bolts level, though, all those beats and rests along the measure, that's all math, okay? And so really, it's that balance between the two, and we all must find balance in our lives. And that's where this follow-up, Book 2, is such a beautiful song. Again, one of my favorites, easily in the top 10, both Cygnuses. Followed by Circumstances, The Trees, and then La Via Strangiato. Hemispheres, fantastic album. Next up, classic. And after all of the Cygnus, okay, and all of these massive undertakings, these multi-part songs, where they slaved over the parts and trying to record it in one pass, but having to give up and do it in because they had written music that was almost beyond them. Of course it wasn't. It was them. So none of this music was beyond Rush. It was Rush pushing themselves. How much can we do? How much better can I play my bass and my drums and my guitar? And can I write these insanely complex songs with all of these time signatures and fluidly mixed into a cohesive musical narrative? That's Rush. But they wanted to free themselves from that, okay, and begin making modern music. And that declaration of independence was a spirit of radio. Opening track, right here on Permanent Waves, followed by Free Will, another classic. Jacob's Ladder, I love that song. And actually, in high school, we had to find a famous playwright or poet and then give an example of their work. And what did I submit? I submitted Jacob's Ladder. And my teacher actually found it really interesting. So I had the coolest teacher. Half my assignments, she let me turn in videos. I actually created videos for my English assignments because I would write them and I would produce and direct and edit them. And so I was producing videos in high school. And actually, so I mean, I graduated high school because of my blooming, my beginning talents, right? These are the salad. These are the early days, the green days. Green Day. But these are the really early days of video production. But I love that that's part of my story and how I got out of high school, with so many A's, basically. I mean, music gave me most of my A's, okay? My GPA was through the roof because all of my music, okay, from drama to all the chorus stuff, right, choral groups and stuff, to all the different bands I was in, school bands, those were all honor level, okay? And honor levels count a little bit more, okay, than college prep or whatever, basic. So basically, all of my honor level, I had a 3.78. That's from a guy who did nothing in high school except for look at pretty girls and hang out. That's all I did. I played music and I chased after girls. That was high school. So how I got away with being really high up, top of my class, music. It was all music. So I have music to thank for my success, my academic success in high school. The rest was just blind luck. And, you chase enough girls, you get to go out with a few. So how's that for, and now to finish things out. Okay, Jacob's Ladder, Entree New, Different Strings, and finally Natural Science. Only 6 tracks. 6 tracks, Permanent Waves. But I've mentioned it many times before. You guys know Natural Science is top 3, okay? Of all time, Rush, my favorites. Natural Science, hands down. Because if I were to pick my favorite Rush songs, I like to think, what would I like to see them play live? What song do I want to experience with the boys, them playing it to me and all my brothers out in the audience? And Natural Science has always been at the top of that list. Okay, and right off the bat, I think, I really hope they play Natural Science this time. So that's kind of one of the criteria I do. Of course, a love of a song lyrically, musically, check. And do I want to see it live? Check. 3 checks. Yeah, so Natural Science fits all those bills. So fantastic album. Now, we would not have their all-time masterpiece without this album. Okay? This was the harbinger of good things. And that, of course, is Moving Pictures. I mean, we all know it. We all love it. And it goes down in the okay, and by the way, here's another one where I have original and extra crispy. This one has all the herbs and spices, and this one is extra crispy. The special re-release. So yes, Moving Pictures. Tom Sawyer, Red Barchetta, YYZ, Limelight, The Camera Eye, Witch Hunt, and finally Vital Songs. So many great tracks, and through the years, Red Barchetta has grown on me so much. And you're probably thinking, hey, welcome to the party, dude. Well, it's about really embracing that story and what that story means on so many levels. Okay? Escaping the watchful eye of the government, of Big Brother, if you will, going far outside the wire to where my wide-haired uncle waits in that classic Hot Rod's waiting for him, right? In the barn, the Red Barchetta. And it's just waiting for him to take it out and just the roar of the engine. And Neil, his lyrics in probably one of the best, if not the best, portrayal in written, his written word in explaining what it feels like to roar down the highway in a beautiful car and feeling the wind and the leathered oil and the roar of the tires and the engine and feeling the wind and that excitement, that exhilaration that we get when we just have an amazing car and an open road and a sense of adventure. And that's only grown on me through the years. And I love that. I love how the music doesn't change, right? This has not changed since the early 80s, moving pictures and reperchetta. However, it is we that change. With great art, it only gets better through time as we evolve and as we grow and as we bring new experiences and new memories and a new take or perspective on life. And I love that about art. And great art does that. It grows with you and it grows beyond what it was initially. Such a beautiful thing. Moving pictures. A beautiful thing. And finally, that was 4 albums. I think. They better be. Yes. A Farewell to Kings, 1. Hemispheres, 2. Moving Pictures, 3. And finally, our 4th album, Moving Pictures. Permanent Waves, Moving Pictures. And finally, of course, after 4 albums, what do we get? Our next live album, Exit Stage Left. There's been a lot of talk about how it's recorded, how much audience you can hear and all. I've heard debates about that. I've heard that on a TV show, Getty discussing this with some guys. But let's just say it's just great to have another live album. This is another classic one on here. Of course, Spirit of Radio, Red Bruschetta, YYZ, Closer to the Heart, Beneath, Between, Behind, Jacob's Ladder, Bruin's Bane, which is the only place you can find that. It's not on an album. It's an acoustic thing that leads into the trees, Bruden's Bane. The Trees, of course, following that. Xanadu, Free Will, Tom Sawyer, and La Via Strangiato. We're solid, square in the 80s now, okay? Rush's sound starts to evolve, all right? Morph. They're trying new things. They're influenced by the bands that they're listening, like the Police and other new wave stuff from Britain and influences from pop and reggae. So all these influences are baked right into Rush's music because, as Neil described, they were young enough to appreciate and love the music of the day, the good stuff. And because of that, it influenced them. And of course, if he's like, man, I love that kind of that syncopation of that reggae, right? He's going to bake that into his drum parts for the next album. And it becomes part of their lyrical narrative. And what am I talking about? The beginning of this is Signals, which is such a great album, by the way. Subdivisions, classic. I was just talking about high school, right? This reflects so many of our stories. And a lot of you have been there. Heck, I was there. Yeah, I wasn't one of the upper echelon kids that got invited to every party on the weekend. Heck, my parents wouldn't let me go. I'm sure I could sneak out, but my friends and I, we had our own thing going on. Most of it music related, but the point is, I wasn't one of those kids. I know what it feels like to be the protagonist of this song and to be the focus of Subdivisions. But it really speaks to a bigger narrative, a bigger story that we see throughout society, right? The subdivisions, the things that divide us. And so often, the things that unite us, okay, are humanity, family, love, work. There's so many things that actually unite us. And what's really unfortunate is that some people tend to focus on the negative. And some people, that's all they can do, is focus on the negative and look for division and actually try to promote division. That's going on today. That is happening right now. And it always will be, unfortunately. There's always going to be people, and a lot of this is politically driven. There's always going to be people who seek to divide, who know nothing else in their soul but conflict, contempt, sadness, rage, anger, bitterness, everything that is the opposite of what we should be to one another. Some people, that's all they know. I have one word, it's 3 letters. It's sad. My heart weeps for these people. And I wish I could reach them. I wish we could reach them and show them a better way. Man, it's very frustrating watching what's happening, watching people try to drive an otherwise peaceful and happy and prosperous society towards war. Why would you want that? We can talk more about that sometime, but let's just say, once again, Neil Peart's lyrics are right on the money in his observations about the world and his ability to then convey that to us through through simple lyrics, right? Lyrics that we can easily understand, making the complex understandable. That's a good teacher, and that's Neil Peart. So again, wow, Subdivisions, great stuff. Also on Signals, The Analog Kid. Love this song. I love Analog Kid. You know, for some of the similar reasons as why I love Red Barchetta, it's that spark and vitality of youth, right? Where a lazy day lying in the grass or the wheat in the sun, well, you know, one between his teeth, but thinking about that lovely young lady with the sun-brown legs, right? Dancing on the edge of his dream. And his mom calls him, but he pulls his cap down like he doesn't want to be bothered. You know, I've been there. I think a lot of us have been there, right? We want to escape. We want to dream about the things that young men dream about. The good things, right? The things that make us happy. And there's so much more to that, but, you know, that's just off the top of my head. Oh, Analog Kid, beautiful. Chemistry. Okay, and we've talked about this in some of my other videos. We talked about chemistry and Digital Man in The Weapon and the New World Man. Losing It. Ooh, Losing It. Wow. Potent song. Beautiful. Haunting song with that violin part. I'm so glad they played that more than once. Of course, they played that in the R40 tour. And even had, what's his name's brother, the guy from Game of Thrones. I'm going to forget his name. Help me out, guys. But the point is, haunting, beautiful, Losing It, love it. And finally, Countdown. Love Countdown. And again, the boys got to go see one of the launches of the space shuttle. And I would love to do that someday myself, even if it's one of Musk's rockets. I don't care. I would love to see a liftoff of a vehicle headed to space, because that is my dream. I've had this dream since I can remembering things, like my entire life. Since I was a small boy, I've dreamt of sailing through the stars and the galaxy and escaping Earth's orbit. That sense of adventure, but instead of Earth, finding it out there in space. Okay, it's why I love sci-fi. And Countdown is like the beginning of that adventure, right? It's that liftoff to the unknown, the otherwise impossible, but made possible by work and determination and dreams and science and brave men who risked it all to get in these jalopy machines, especially back in the day, right? Especially even with the space shuttle. But in the earliest days of the Apollo program, they didn't know if they'd blow up at any moment, or if the heat shields would hold, or if they'd come down from just one test flight. It was ridiculous cowboy stuff that we did back then. And, here in America is what I'm talking about, the NASA and the space program. Ridiculous what they pulled off. It's just the height of what humans can do. It's just beautiful. And all of that is so beautifully portrayed, okay, in Signals. Next up, Square, solid, right smack in the middle of the 80s. And again, just fell right out. My remastered version, original version. There's the boys, circa Grace Under Pressure. Grace Under Pressure, here we go, guys. Distant Early Warning, After Image. Beautiful, beautiful song. I believe he wrote that after they lost a friend. And we've used that song with reference to losing Neil, of course, since then. Red Sector A, The Enemy Within, The Body Electric. I've talked about this many times. Love that song. All right, The Android in the Distress, which I used to inspire my character from my book, Fixus, which is an android that Fixus looks like how I imagined the android from this song to look. So huge inspiration for me. Can't say enough. Kid Gloves, again, I've talked about it before, how it's in 5/4. Love it. Red Lenses. And finally, Between the Wheels. I love Between the Wheels. And I love it when they play that live. So this was next. Grace Under Pressure. Moving on to Power Windows. Big Money. Oh, I loved it. When they open certain tours and concerts with Big Money. So much power and just force and energy baked into that song. Beautiful stuff. Grand Designs. I love Grand Designs. Manhattan Project. Oh, such an amazing song. Okay. And, it's so great that Neil wrote this way back in the 80s, the Manhattan Project, about, what happened with the Manhattan Project so many years before. But then Christopher Nolan actually makes Oppenheimer. Best Picture. All right, and what did he get? Best Director, just won all these awards. Fantastic, huge movie about that very thing. And it's so great that in this full circle moment, right? Where Neil wrote the song and we finally get a movie to show us those events. So great. Next up is Marathon, followed by Territories, Middletown Dreams. We've talked about this many times. Love Middletown Dreams. Parts of that song reflect my life. Emotion Detector, and finally Mystic Rhythms. So many great things in here. There's the guy with, who, by the way, he kind of looks like my brother-in-law, Will. The guy on the cover here, blonde, and heck, all their kids, my sister and her husband, they're all little blonde, so they've got several of their boys and him that actually kind of look like the guy, which is kind of cool, on Power Windows. And here we go. Album number 4 in this era is Hold Your Fire. Yeah, this is a softer, or as I believe Getty called it, and there's my remastered one. Man, I was thorough. Getty called it kind of a softer, jazzier space with this album, and it was. And yet, in the grand pantheon of the grand scheme of Rush music, it has its place. I love that about Rush. It's not all driving, hard, fast rock. Okay? I think we love, at least I do, a lot of you probably share this very sentiment that we love progressive music because it challenges us, because it has different movements and different sections, and there's a softer, really melodic part. And there might be a piano in there. At times there's a saxophone. Okay, think about Images and Words with Dream Theater, okay? Where they got a fantastic jazz sax player to play on a couple of the tracks, for example. Symphonic and adding orchestra pieces and different instrumentations. It's all that experimentation and looking and pushing the boundaries of what rock can be. That's progressive rock. So if you look at all of the catalog and all these albums of Rush, why not have a movement of this entire piece, 20 albums, that is softer, all right? An interlude along the way. We have this era, and we're getting into the 80s, and we're doing this. We have a softer, mostly, really gentle, if you will, delicate album here. But then, guess what? They kind of course correct and they move on to different music, okay? That's why we love them. Therefore, this has its place. That's my quick take on Hold Your Fire. So, Force 10, Time Stands Still. Oh, love that song. Open Secrets. It's hard to read this black text on the red. Open Secrets and Second Nature, Prime Mover, Lock and Key. Mission, Turn the Page, Taishan, and High Water. A couple of the last tracks heavily influenced by Neil's time that he spent in China. I believe he went on different bicycle tours over there. some of the rhythms and his lyrics reflected that peaceful serenity he found in mountaintops in China. 4 albums, okay? Signals, 1. Grace Under Pressure, 2. Power Windows, Hold Your Fire, 4. And this was my first, this is my first live album. Okay, I just discovered Rush right around this time. And again, it started with 2112. And as each one of us have discovered Rush, unless you were there in the very beginning, okay? But those of us who weren't, we discover them, and then we start building our catalog. We're going backwards and forward from that day, right? So all subsequent releases from that time, okay, from whatever that year was, we then buy new. And we're going to talk more about that in a moment. But, of course, hearing the drum solo, the rhythm method on this album was nothing short of mind-blowing. Rush reinvented themselves once again, returning to be the preeminent power trio of prog rock. They did this with Presto. Fantastic album. There's the cover. And on here we have songs like, there's The Boys, classic Black and White. We have Show Don't Tell, Chain Lightning, The Pass, War Paint, Scars, Presto, Superconductor, Anagram, Red Tide, Hand Over Fist, and Available Light. Love Available Light. And I love Presto. And what's really funny is it wasn't until college, and I'm so embarrassed to admit this, that my friend Joel pointed out that the entire song of Anagram is a bunch of anagrams, wherein you take one word, and from that one word you make other words, or in this case, a sentence to make other sentences, other parts of the sentence. For example, man, I can't even begin to read this. But the saint is turning to sin. Okay, so within the word saint, you can find the word sin. And so anyway, anagram, it's just, I'm like, are you kidding me? I said, are you serious, Joel? And I felt really embarrassed that I never noticed that. I listened to it. I knew the lyrics. I knew the song. I knew anagram really well. But it took Joel pointing that out. I have to admit, Joel, let's see, he's a physics professor. I can't even say it. That runs a physics department. Okay, he teaches university level quantum mechanics and physics. And who am I, right? I'm just some dude who makes videos. So, yeah, you can tell, like, there's an intelligence gap there. So it took Joel to point out that anagram was when it was. Next up, highly underrated this album is. This is such a fantastic album, Roll the Bones. And this was the first time that I got to see Rush live. Right there, guys, my concert ticket. Worcester, Mass. Worcester. And you can see, of course, it's spelled Worcester, right? But anyone in the know, and of course, up there in Massachusetts where I lived, it was Worcester, because that's how we say things up there. We get in that car and we go down to Worcester to see Rush. That's just what we do. All right, so, but anyway, some really cool stuff, all this skull stuff, bone stuff, Roll the Bones. Fantastic album. Dreamline. One of the best ways to start any Rush concert is Dreamline, followed by Bravado. Beautiful, beautiful song. Roll the Bones. Of course, the somewhat polarizing rap in the middle, but I like it. It's just a period of the times, but it was done as a parody. It was done as pure satire. Face Up, Where's My Thing, which is an instrumental, of course. The Big Wheel, Heresy, Ghost of a Chance, Neurotica, and You Bet Your Life. I love You Bet Your Life. Such a great song. So Roll the Bones, fantastic album, and for me, very special. The first time I got to see Rush. It's where I keep my concert ticket, so I never lose it. Right on the heels of that, I'm like my maybe sophomore year of college. And back then, without the internet that we have today, okay? There was no Twitter. We had a little thing called Yahoo. We could do some searching. Google wasn't even into its full what it is now, okay? Not even close. But yeah, Counterparts came out. And why do I bring up the internet? Because information moved a little bit slower back then. And I remember one time we were going to do our laundry. Okay, we have, our big sacks of dirty laundry. We're going down to the campus laundromat. And so it's across campus from our dorm, and we're going there, and on the radio, okay, we have it on a local rock station. And on this local rock station, they're like, yeah, we're going to be interviewing Rush about their new album, and they were going to play some tracks. Let's just say there was no laundry done that night. We just sat, Joel and I sat in our other friend's car for a couple of hours, just listening to the interview and hearing all the new tracks off of Counterparts. In the years following, starting then and up until today, Counterparts remains one of my very favorite albums. Probably because it reflects the time that I was in. It reflects a special point in my life. The lyrics hit home so hard and so potently in so many levels. And so Counterparts, I love Counterparts. I've talked about this many times with you guys. You know how I feel about it. And of course, this was the second time. The last time was in Worcester, Mass. And then this was the beginning of what would be many, 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 many years up until this past year when I saw Dream Theater, to where Joel and I go to Texas to see Rush many times, and then in later years to see Dream Theater. Texas has just been the place to go. So, it was close to our college and everything. So the point is, yeah, there's my concert ticket for Counterparts. Test for Echo. The third time in a row I got to see Rush. An evening with Rush at, see where we see him, Reunion Arena in Dallas, Texas. December 3rd, 1996. December 3rd is days before I got married. I got married later that month in December on 1996 to my beautiful wife, with whom we now have 4 children. We're still happily married all these years later, nearly 30 years later. And I love that I got to see Rush just days before our wedding. It's kind of cool. So, yeah, what do we have on here? We have, of course, we have Test for Echo. And then Driven, such an awesome song. Half the World, Color of Right, Time and Motion. I love Time and Motion. Totem, Dog Years, Virtuality, Resist, Limbo, and Carve Away the Stone. Carve Away the Stone. I'm always reminded of some biblical themes with that song. And I can talk about that sometime if you want. Of course, let's count them up, guys. Well, Presto 1, Roll the Bones 2, Counterparts 3, Test for Echo 4 albums, and then a what? Well, a little bit different this time. In all seriousness, it was right after this that the tour for Test for Echo, that Neil lost his daughter, and within a year or so lost his wife. Of course, we know there were the dark years in every sense of the word for Rush. And during that time, the next thing that was released was a live album, and that's called Different Stages. Fantastic album, which opens with Dreamline. What did I say? That's why it was so awesome. I love anything that opens with Dreamline. It's just fantastic. All right, so yeah, this is a double album, okay? Made up of a couple of concerts, I believe, 2 or 3 maybe, and then a really vintage recording. Let's see, I'm trying to read the date here. I think it might be 78. Yes, so anyway, came with, right here, the Hammersmith, all right, the Odeon recording. So yeah, there you go. 4 albums and a live album. They even maintained that during the dark years. You gotta love that. So following Different Stages, we know that there was some time off, if you will. When Neil found Carrie found love again, got married. Eventually, I believe he told the boys that, I'm going to need some gainful employment. And eventually, Neil got back in the studio. And with much, a little bit of reluctance and nervousness, if you will, but the boys, they got back to it. And they found their feet again. And this time, they came out roaring. And I liken this album, and I compare it to Rush, like a not angry, but a very determined and loud. But there is a lot of anger on this album, yeah. So an angry garage band, right? It's just got a raw sense to it. That's what I hear. Vapor Trails. Yeah, this is the return of Rush. Okay, so good, such an amazing album. Vapor Trails remixed. And that's what this is. Slightly different cover art. Okay. I kind of dig this one. And then there's the back. So Vapor Trails remixed. Obviously, it's the same album. Okay. Inside, original CD, and this is the remix CD. Okay. You can see some of the similar kind of art here and here. But yes, they remixed it. And you could definitely hear it a lot. And there are parts where they add some extra. There's extra Getty parts, right? Extra backing vocals, which they must have added some in Pro Tools and stuff. But yeah, it is a nicer mix. It's good stuff. So yeah, Vapor Trails, 2 versions. Next up, the boys went somewhere they'd never gone before. Sounds like the beginning of a sweet adventure, which in that was Rush and Rio. So yeah, the boys went down to Rio, okay, and were met with a couple of nights of 50, 60,000 rabid fans. And as far as I know, this was the first time that the audience spontaneously and in unison provided vocals for YYZ. They're singing along. They have vocal parts for this, at this point, 20-something years? Yeah, ish. Old song, okay, instrumental, and they provide vocal part. Anyway, and that was just magical. And it was just amazing. They also made a documentary, which we just spoke of, on the Blu-ray. But yes, this is a 3 CD volume. And they come up with some really cool cover art, by the way. The dragon with the Mai Tai and the fruit hat and the beads. And so, yeah, 3 different discs full of music, plus a couple of board bootlegs, which is Between Sun and Moon and Vital Signs. So, disc 1, Tom Sawyer. And then Distant Early Warning, New World Man. Roll the Bones, Earthshine, and then YYZ. The Past, Bravado, Big Money, Trees, Free Will, Closer to the Heart, and Natural Science. Disc 2, One Little Victory. Driven, Ghost Rider, Secret Touch, Dreamline, Red Sector A. Leave That Thing Alone. Sounds like a scab you shouldn't pick. Hey, leave that thing alone. Oh Barista, Resist, and 2112. And then disc 3, Limelight, La Via Strangiato, Spirit of Radio by Torn the Snow Dog, Cygnus X-1 / Working Man. Good stuff. Rush and Rio. Next up, as I drop all my CDs everywhere, is 30th anniversary. Okay? It's time. So this will be around, 2004? 30th anniversary. And this is what's cool, that Rush, to celebrate, doesn't put out a new album per se, not in the traditional sense. They record a bunch of covers. Yeah, of course you guys know this. It's called Feedback. There's that classic picture you guys know. And on here, they grew up listening to English blues and rock, and they had this wide variety of influences, right? And these are their passion songs from their youth, the things that inspired them. Just as Rush has inspired so many of us, myself included, and so many of you who love to play drums. Rush has inspired us. Well, they were inspired once as well. Summertime Blues, Heart Full of Soul, The Seeker, For what it's worth, Shape of Things, Mr. Soul, Crossroads, which is, I love their cover, Crossroads, and 7 and 7 is Feedback. Check it out. To go along with that, and we've talked about this, okay? Yeah, when we talked about the DVDs, R30, but with that, this is the R30 30th anniversary live discs, okay? See right here. So I want to bring those out. These CDs, Snakes and Arrows. Great album. They used Nick this time as producer. Underneath my CD, I have right here Woodlawn's Pavilion. It's an outdoor theater down in Texas. Okay, August 14, 07. Do you guys remember that there was an app? I believe it was a Clockwork Angels app. Rush had an app for a while. I actually had it on my phone. In addition, this release, okay, so we're talking multimedia now. We're talking outside the regular type of media of, video and audio and stuff. This is a hybrid, okay, which I did mention before, but I'm bringing it up now because we're talking about, kings of all media, right? Well, okay. Yeah, we had an app for the phones. And this sucker, of course, is a hybrid disc. It's got video, it's got lyrics, it's got music, all on one disc. So this was a nice little segue before streaming truly took over. Snakes and Arrows. Following that, we had to do a live album, Snakes and Arrows Live. Of course, during that tour, we had the rotisserie chickens on stage. Okay? Which, man, that looks delicious. Wouldn't mind some rotisserie chicken right now. This is a double album. Okay? And let's see. I'll show you the inside. Book in the middle. Ged doing a cool thing on stage there. And by the way, this giant rug, I heard the boys talking about this in the years following, and Getty kind of wondered who ended up with that rug, right? Where did the Snakes and Arrows rug go that covered the stage? I believe Getty or Alex heard that a fan got it. If you're that person, if you're that guy that has the Snakes and Arrows rug, hey, let me know. I'd love to hear from you, because that's really cool. All right, so Snakes and Arrows live. We have Limelight, Digital Man, Entree New, and Mission, Farewell, Main Monkey Business, Larger Bowl, Secret Touch, Circumstances, Between the Wheels, Streamline, Far Cry, Working Them Angels, and Armor and Sword. That's disc 1. Disc 2, Spindrift, The Way the Wind Blows, Subdivisions, Natural Science. Yes. I guess I got to see that live that year. That's awesome. Witch Hunt, Malignant Narcissism, which goes into the Slag Worker. All right, so it goes into Neil's solo. Hope, Distant Early Warning, The Spirit of Radio, Tom Sawyer, and then further encore, One Little Victory, Passage to Bangkok, and Why was he? Cool. That was awful. We come to the final album, the last Rush album. You all know what it is. Clockwork Angels. Hindsight's 2020. This is the 20th album by Rush, and in years following, it's only grown in its importance and how great it is, and how hauntingly beautiful and prophetic The Garden is. Such a beautiful song, The Garden, and there could not be a better album, a better song than The Garden to be the last musical message and gift from Rush. Clockwork Angels live, Neil actually had multiple drum solos, and he would do different explorations, and he was actually improvising live. He used to really compose everything really tight, okay, and work at everything, and actually it's a composition, his drum solos. He started to move, and especially with the recording of this, he was allowing a lot more improv in his performance on this album, and then subsequently his improv on stage and with his solos. So in those, quote, latter years, okay, especially in the Clockwork Angels era, Neil was just challenging himself to come up with parts and rhythms and ideas on the fly. True improvisation in the moment, which I love, because that's like the master test. You could be the best at your craft for decades, right? And Neil was. But to challenge himself, he threw out the rule book, threw away the paper in which he would write all those drum parts or the recordings of his ideas, and just go completely improv. And that's like the master test. And I think that just made him happy, because when he played well, that was the highest sense of joy and happiness for him, is being able to play something what you might call perfect, or just beautifully and just super well. So yeah, lots of drum solos on Clockwork Live, Red Sector A, YYZ, Spirit of Radio, and then Encore, Tom Sawyer, 2112. There's some bonus tracks: Limelight, Middletown Dreams, The Past, Manhattan Project. What's also really cool is on stage with them was a string ensemble. And Rush really enjoyed playing with that string ensemble. It's documented on this Blu-ray, and on my Blu-ray, and in the documentary as well. And yeah, it worked out beautifully for them. It's something they always wanted to do, and when they did it, it went well. So I love that. And kind of rewinding slightly, this and the Blu-ray that goes with it. Fantastic recording, the Time Machine tour, and this is where, you know, like, because of Clockwork Angels and in and around that time, they went just kind of full steampunk kind of look, which I love. I love that kind of look, and their on-stage stuff, and man, Rush, their stagecraft just got better and better and better, didn't it? Wow. It's not enough that it's the music and lyrics and tours and videos and TV and movies and books, right? All of that. Kings of all media. They gave us so much. And then their stage shows were just so like, I mean, not only is the music insane and beautiful, and then the lyrics, but what we're seeing visually is just stunning, right? And in a sensibility that I just love, okay? But doesn't that make sense? We love the band, and I love that how they presented themselves visually matched the things that I like, okay? Yeah, they could have gone in some weird direction. You know, you might argue what they did in the early days, right? But in those later years, though, and they toured so much, up until the end, their stagecraft was just second to none. This one is a bunch of their radio hits, and it's called The Greatest Hits from 74 to 87. Okay, that's what it looks like. Great retro radio on there. It has Closer to the Heart, Tom Sawyer, Subdivisions, Big Money, and Mystic Rhythms. Here's why this is important. These are cuts from Chronicles. Okay? A little sampler, if you will, from Chronicles. And there's the disc, by the way. Got the little Signals dog on there. And see, does it have the correct time? Well, no, it's a radio frequency. I was going to say, did it have the correct time? Which, of course, would be 912, which is 2112. Moving on. This was so cool when this came out. I was pretty new to Rush at the time. Again, 88, 89-ish. This came out, I believe, around 89. Chronicles, disc 1 and 2. It actually came in one, but I separated it into two jewel cases. I just like them better that way. So you can see I just took the artwork from that one. You know, those big, had the two sides that flipped out. I always found those so cumbersome. Did you guys like those too? Right? And you could open up one side, but flip it over and open up the other. This unified jewel case that opened this way and opened this way. Hated that. So I put it in two jewel cases, all right? My custom job for Chronicles. And Chronicles covered everything from their first album all the way through Presto, because Show Don't Tell is on here. So yeah, Chronicles was so great when it came out. And by the way, I believe those are the pictures from 2112 inside the Chronicles cover. I remember getting this album, again, at high school, Cape Cod, Massachusetts. I had a girlfriend, her name was Jennifer, and I go over to her house one morning. I'm so excited. And I've got the big old tall box, right? Came in the paper tall boxes. The CDs did back then. And I'm so excited. New Rush, right? Chronicles. This was a way for me to collect a great sampling from all the years from the beginning all the way through the present, through Presto. I was really excited. Brand new Rush fan. She had no clue. She had no idea what I was talking about. I'm like, it's Rush. It's Rush. Come on, it's Rush. It's a double album. No bloody clue. She had no clue about. Anyway, it's just really funny. And guess what? That's continued my entire life. Oh, it's Rush. Guess what? I'm going to see Rush soon. It's R40. I'm going to go see him. Who? What? I like Iron Maiden. I like Steely Dan. Or these people don't understand, do they? I digress. Okay, next up, Rush then had 3 compilation. These were pretty cool. Retrospective 1, 2, and 3. Okay, Retrospective 1, and I believe inside here. Yep, here it is. It's really easy to give you the visuals. This is beautiful, right? So you can see starting from over here, the first album, all the way through Permanent Waves. So that's what this covered, Retrospective 1. All right, so this was a new repackaging, because, this is what you do. You repackage your music for a new generation, a new time. And there's the CD inside. And this is Retrospective 1. What do we have here? Spirit of Radio, The Trees, Something for Nothing, Free Will, Xanadu, Bastille Day, By Torrent and the Snow Dog, Anthem, Closer to the Heart, 2112 Overture, The Temples of Syrinx, La Via Strangiato, Fly By Night, and Finding My Way. Retrospective 1. Moving on, Retrospective 2. Let's get out the visual. Here we go, guys. So, starting with Moving Pictures, all the way through Hold Your Fire. I love the wall art there. So cool. All right, so in Retrospective 2, covering those albums, we have... You know what's great about this? They did not go chronologically in order. They built these retrospectives for the listening enjoyment. I like that, right? They didn't start with the earliest material and work to the latest, meaning they didn't start with Moving Pictures and work to Hold Your Fire for Retrospective 2. Instead, they built a listening experience out of it. Here's my, starting with What Else? The Big Money. It's a great way to always start a concert and an album. So Big Money, Red Barchetta. Subdivisions, Time Stands Still, Mystic Rhythms, Analog Kid, Distant Early Warning, Marathon, Body Electric. What's that? What does that say? Oh, it says Mission. It's, by the way, it's black on red. And for anyone, I dare anyone to actually read it. All right, Mission, Limelight, Red Sector A, New World Man, Tom Sawyer, and Force 10. Finally, Retrospective Trace, Retrospective 3. This was double cool, and here's why. It came with a CD, of course. By the way, jewel cases, and at some point, remember how they got rid of the tall boxes, right? The paper boxes? You got to save the trees. Instead, plastic became the enemy, and now everything's in bloody cardboard. I like my jewel cases. How about you? You like jewel cases, or do you like these stupid, flimsy? Prefer these. Just saying. All right, so anyway, cardboard. All right, it's on here. And it's still Rush. I'm not complaining. But the whole industry did that, right? They all decided, we can't have all that Hello, we're not putting these in landfills. So what's wrong? Was it cheaper? Still, it's a tree. Okay, are we saving a tree? Are we making plastic? Anytime you let politics and agenda slip into art, things go crappy. Meaning, I lose my jewel case and I get a flimsy piece of cardboard. This is not on Rush. This is on the industry. Just saying. Ready? There you go. Just saying. All right, this is what's cool. This came with both CD and that is not the example I want. This came with both CD and a DVD. Here we go. Beautiful. I had both my CDs in one and both my DVDs in the other. I have 2 copies, by the way. I have 2 copies of Retrospective 3. How I ended up with 2 copies? No bloody idea. But hey, you're a super fan, you got 2 copies of Retrospective 3. There they are. All right, so here we go. CD with all the songs on it and a collection of the music videos. This was cool. Okay, because remember, Chronicles had music videos, right? This brought us through more the modern era of Rush's music videos. So a DVD and a CD inside of one cardboard container inside the Retrospective 3. And by the way, as you can see here on the wall art, okay, from Presto all the way through, you can see over here, Snakes and Arrows, and down on the floor here is our feedback, okay, with all of our covers. What is on this album? Well, pretty cool. Here we go. Disc 1, Disc 2. One Little Victory, Dreamline, Working Them Angels, Presto, Bravado, Driven, The Pass, Animate, Roll the Bones, Ghost of a Chance, Nobody's Hero, Leave That Thing Alone, Earthshine, and Far Cry. That's Disc 1. Again, not going chronological. We're building a listening experience. What songs flow into the next? Okay, so imagine taking this many albums, okay? And I'm counting 6 studio albums plus feedback, okay? Now, you take the songs that you want, you know, the painstaking process. What songs are we going to pick from all these albums? Great. Now, how do those flow together? Because when you build an album, okay, so if you have a Rush album, a proper Rush album, like, for example, Snakes and Arrows, they chose the listening experience, okay? They went from Far Cry to Armor and Sword to Working Them Angels to Larger Bowl. Okay, they, you know what I mean? So you have to choose this. That's what they did with these retrospectives, and I love that. Okay? They kind of flow together. You know, what they saw or sonically heard would be a great listening experience. Not just this album. It's about what songs can then flow into each other. That's what they did there. So that was Disc 1. Disc 2. We have Stick It Out, Nobody's Hero, Half the World, Driven, Roll the Bones, Show Don't Tell, The Pass, Superconductor, Far Cry, Malignant Narcissism, The Seeker, of course, that's from Feedback, and Secret Touch, and Resist. There you go. So 2 discs, a CD, and DVD for Retrospective 3. So this was a cool update, in my humble opinion, okay? Having Retrospective 1, 2, and 3. Taking us basically through most of the 70s, 80s, and the early 90s and 90s into the 2000s, up into 2000 and beyond. So that's really cool. Now, Rush, of course, during the time in which Neil needed to recover and heal, okay, the Ghost Rider years. If we're going to give it a name, it's a great name. After Neil lost everything, the Ghost Rider years, you know what I'm talking about. We have 2 solo albums during that time. First of which, Alex Lifeson came out with Victor. All right? And Don't Care, Promise, Start Today, Mr. X, At the End. Sending Out a Warning, Shut Up, Shutting Up. That's my favorite track, by the way. I love that track. Strip and Go Naked, The Big Dance, Victor, and I Am the Spirit, Victor, Alex Lifeson. However, my favorite Rush solo album remains, until this day, to be my favorite Headache. I just recently got it on vinyl. I was so excited to get it on vinyl. I love this album. I wish Geddy would do another. Okay, give us another Headache. I would love Ged to do another solo album because this is a lot of fun. This is Geddy. It's Geddy. You can hear it all. It's Geddy from Rush. It's all there. However, this is Ged on his own. There's a little bit of a pop sensibility to it, and I like it. His voice sounds amazing on My Favorite Headache. It's not a headache at all, actually. And his bass playing, it's just a great album. I love My Favorite Headache. Ged, if you're listening, please give us another headache. Meaning, let's give us another solo album. Before it's too late, brother, I would love that. I don't think I'm alone with that thought. On My Favorite Headache, if I can, it's really small text. My Favorite Headache, the present tense, Window to the World, Working at Perfect. I love that album, that song, by the way. Runaway Train, great track. The Angels Share, another good track. Moving to Bohemia, love that track. Home Unestrange, love that song, reminds me of my grandfather. Slipping, oh, such a good song. And let's see, Still, and then finally Grace to Grace. I love Grace to Grace. Final track on Ged's solo album, Grace to Grace. Here's why. Grace to Grace, there's a couple lines in that song that have inspired ideas and concepts that I've used in my novel, Artera. I just love Grace to Grace. So many good things here. Great album. If you don't have Geddy Lee's solo album, it's still available. Go pick it up. Get it on vinyl. Go listen to it online or buy the CD. Support Geddy. This is a great album. How many times have I said that? Hey, that'd be a drinking game. Hey, it's a great album. You know, yeah, it's a great album. Take another drink. Take another drink. All right. Next up. Neil didn't give us solo albums, per se. However, he gave us tribute albums to the drummer that influenced him most. Who am I talking? Buddy Rich. This is one of them. Burning for Buddy. There were two of these albums. And on these albums, Neil, working with the Rich family, he became good friends with them. Recorded a bunch of jazz songs, and this is Neil playing jazz, Buddy Rich style. It's great, with a great jazz band. And me coming from jazz, I'm a sax player. Again, once a drummer, turned sax player. I've played so much jazz in my life. I love jazz music. To hear Neil play jazz, kind of perfect, right? Okay, you take my favorite drummer from my favorite band, and now he's playing one of my favorite forms of music. That's what this is, Burning for Buddy. Neil Peart. Now, before we leave, there's a tribute album and an interview album that I have. One of them, there's a bunch of tribute albums, so that I don't own them all. You guys can go check them out, like CygnusX1.net. Great archive of all kinds of everything Rush, and on there you can see all of the tribute albums through the years, up until recent days, okay? Really recent years. But one of the very earliest ones called Working Man. Yeah. And there's all kinds of people on here. They cover Working Man, By Tor and the Snow Dog, Analog Kid, The Trees, La Via Strangiato, Mission, Anthem, Jacob's Ladder, Closer to the Heart, Natural Science, YYZ, Red Barchetta, and Free Will. I mean, Sebastian Bach is on here. See, Mike Portnoy's on here. There's so many great musicians on here, by the way. And James from Dream Theater also sings on one of the tracks. Working Man, okay? A tribute album to Rush. So if you're into tribute albums and you want to listen to some Rush ones, that's one of them. There's a lot more. CygnusX1.net, check it out. And this I picked up years ago. Who knows? I think it was in a used bin, all right? There were the stores, kind of like Hastings, where people could trade in CDs, and you'd find all kinds of weird gems. Okay, old, obscure, rare import albums. I love finding that stuff. I love finding really rare CDs, and in these days, finding rare vinyl. And one of which is called The Story of Kings. And on here is a very old interview with, I believe, Geddy and Alex. Okay, it's just an audio files. Audio interview on CD. It's called The Story of Kings. I was very excited to finally get My Favorite Headache on vinyl. I love this album. I've said it many times. I wish Geddy would make another album. But yeah, the artwork is spectacular, as it always is with vinyl, right? Because until this time, I only had the CD. And that's great, but to truly appreciate the artist, what the artist did to create the album art, you need vinyl, okay? Because, it's basically, it's like poster size, right? And so I was really excited to finally get my favorite headache in Getty. If anyone knows Getty, or Getty, if you're watching, brother, I would love it. I think a lot of us would love it to have another solo album from you. And as you well know, my favorite headache, the present tense, Window to the World, working it perfect. That's side 1. Side 2, Runaway Train, The Angels Share, Moving to Bohemia, Home on the Strange. All right, album 2, which is side 3 technically, Slipping Still in Grace to Grace. Side 4, bonus tracks, my favorite headache instrumental, and Home on the Strange instrumental. This was recorded, August 26, 1974, in Cleveland, Ohio. The first time in an American broadcast was Rush, what they call Rush, ABC, or the first American broadcast. This is what's great. That's the day I was born. So this album is special, still wrapped. Got this as a Christmas present from my wife. And it's special because, again, this celebrates my birthday. It celebrates the birthday of Rush, and I just love this album. And it's gold, all right? Both Rush and I turned 50 this year. It's our golden anniversary. Don't you love getting old? Of course, the final album by Rush, fantastic, amazing album that, we didn't know at the time that it would be their last, and it almost felt like they knew it would be their last, right? But that's beside the point. It's a fantastic album. The music, spectacular. His drumming, Getty's voice, and the production value, and the songwriting, Alex's guitar, Neil's drums, but the lyrics so poignant and almost prophetic. When you think about the garden being the very last song on the very last album of Rush is The Garden, which is almost like it's Neil's story. It's what he held most dear, right? Family, love, respect. So many of us share that, right? Of what's truly important in life. And as you tending that garden, you're tending the things in your life. Anyway, I've talked about this many times, but it bears saying again. Fantastic. I love having this on vinyl. Snakes and Arrows. All right, 2007, 2008. I got to see this tour. It's awesome. Great album. And you guys probably have each of your favorites I'd love to hear. Great album. Great big old artwork. Snakes and Arrows. Moving back in time again. This is the remixed. When I was going to pick something to get, definitely I want the remixed version. All right. And the remix was huge. Just the sound difference and soundscape alone of Earthshine radically changed from the original. They added different vocal parts because you're working in Pro Tools, right? If Getty has a sweet vocal part and you want to echo that in certain sections and add and tweak little parts, you can do that. And they did that with the remix. So yes, there you go, guys. Vapor Trails remixed. Now, one of the albums I don't have is Test for Echo. However, I saw that tour, and on that tour, it's right here. This is the original that I bought at the concert. This is the tour book. What's kind of cool is that you guys probably know when you design a book for a tour, right? And you have a tour book, you use photos from the last album. So all of this stuff is like artwork and photos taken from the Counterparts era, right? Which came before Test for Echo. Counterparts being like one of my top 5 albums, which I love. So it's kind of cool that the artwork in here is reflective of that, of the Counterparts time. But yeah, so anyway, I thought I'd just take this out because this is just another case of something amazing to have in our collections are these tour books. And I know that on Rush.com or the Backstage Club, they've been reissuing a lot of the tour books. Check that out, okay? Guys, go to Backstage Club and you can get a bunch of copies that they've reissued. So anyway, so I'll let you know about that. Of course, coming before that, we just mentioned it, is this album, Counterparts. I've mentioned this before, and I'll do it again. And by the way, I need to stop saying I've mentioned this before. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. But Counterparts is special to me. You know, the Rush ABC 1974, the year I was born. This was the year I went off to college. And when it came out, I was homesick, 2,000 miles away from home, and having new Rush music. And I just fall asleep at night. You guys done this? I did this when I first discovered Rush in like early high school or junior high. I'd fall asleep with moving pictures or permanent waves, headphones. And I'd wake up and still be looping or playing. Have you done it? I'm sure you have. And I did that, or at least fell asleep. I'm not sure if I played all night, but I fell asleep to Counterparts many, many times. It lifted my spirits in a time where I needed them truly lifted. And that's what my favorite band did. That's what Geddy's voice did, and that music, and just having that with a sense of stability and peace and joy and happiness. Having that new Rush was so important, and that's why this remains, you know, it's solid in the top 5 of my favorite albums. You know, because music is that and should be that for us, right? Music connects us to our memories, to who we are now, linking back to who we were, and it's all wound together, and that's the beauty of music. And great music doesn't get old. I can still listen to this 30 plus years later. It's just as fresh. It's just as great. Just as I can listen to moving pictures. I mean, great music is timeless that way. It resists time. And I love that so much. All right. Of course, coming before Counterparts is, yes, right, Roll the Bones. Great album. Underrated by many. Properly rated by most of us who know. Okay? Who, you know, all you out there who are like me, yeah, we know how great of an album this is. And, yeah, and it's just cool to have the big old artwork once again. So, there we go. Counterparts. Of course, prior to that would be Presto. Presto was prior. Presto, so many great tunes on here. This was the return to the power rock trio, as is so perfectly described in the documentary. But it's true. And synthesizers, I can't talk tonight, took kind of a backseat at that point, right? But anyway, love it. Presto. Now we have Hold Your Fire. Hold Your Fire came out right around the time I discovered Rush, okay? 87, 88, that general kind of time period. And because it was so fresh on the scene new, it had just barely come out. And I think the first one I bought that was new, where I was there opening day, I think was Presto. It's kind of a blur. It's been a while. But this album has resonated with me through the years. And yeah, Geddy admits and says that it's a softer, jazzier kind of sound. However, it's Rush. And even Rush in this musical space is still Rush. And still holds up against the piles of excrement of other type of music out there, right? It's still better than that. And therefore, I still love it. It's still Rush. Hold Your Fire. All right. Square smack in the 80s. Power Windows. I mean, big money. Incredible. I love grand designs. Manhattan Project is just a time capsule and a history lesson. So great. And of course, you know, given the recent award-winning, money-making Oppenheimer, having Manhattan Project written and recorded so long ago, pretty darn cool. Territories, Middletown Dreams, classic. I've talked about that before. Mystic Rhythms, great drum part. Love it. I do not have Grace Under Pressure, which, Rush, please, for all of us, where's our 40th anniversary of Grace? Please. Because I don't own it on vinyl. Okay, so please, I would really love, and so many of us would love Grace Under Pressure on vinyl. The whole package, the 40th anniversary. So please, Rush, thank you. This is a reissue of Signals. Okay, And so many amazing classics on here. You guys know them. Subdivisions, Analog Kid, Digital Man, New World Man, Losing It. Oh, the violin part. Countdown. Again, another time capsule, right? To the whole space shuttle era. Just so brilliant, so great. Again, it's part of that era, but it's Rush. Love it. And that was a reissue. This is original. Yep. You can kind of see a little bit of the foxing, or you can see the outline of the vinyl there. Yes, this is my original copy of Signals. So, let's see. Yeah, there's the artwork right there. And by the way, check this out. You don't get more 80s than that right there. You know, the kind of the color scheme they applied to the photos of the guys. It's just another time capsule of an era. Okay, very cool. Moving Pictures. And I do have the 40th anniversary. It came in a big box. It has a Moving Pictures t-shirt in it. So if you can get a copy of this, it comes with a t-shirt. It comes, with, of course, with the vinyl. And so, oh, by the way, okay, there it is right there. Comes with that t-shirt. It's hanging in my closet right now. And we're going to talk about some of the apparel in this video. So yes, this is the 40th anniversary. And I believe this is the reissued vinyl that came with it. Okay, Moving Pictures. You guys know it. It is, you know, the album that broke everything wide open for Rush. And they became a phenomenon that summer. So it came with a couple guitar picks autographed by Alex and Getty. They are now part of this. This is an original Moving Pictures, okay, vinyl cover. And as you can see, I have the Alex and the Getty guitar picks. I put them as part of this display. This is special, though, because Mike Mangini and John Petrucci autographed this. I brought this with me to Images, Words, and Beyond. When we saw them, we did a meet and greet with Dream Theater. And before they made me take away, we're supposed to have 2 items, right? And I do. I have their self-titled album signed by the entire band, and I have Images and Words vinyl signed by the entire band. So I have those 2 vinyls, all of Dream Theater, with Mike Mangini, signed it, but I had a third one. I wasn't supposed to have a third one. So right before the security or whoever dude made me put this away, I did get 2 autographs on this. Why did I have Dream Theater autograph Rush? Well, I know John loves them. All right, Dream Theater loves Rush. Okay, that's established. We're good there. But for me, it was a cross-section of my very favorite band, my second favorite band. I'm never going to get to meet Rush. I'd love to meet Rush. Okay, we all would. But since I probably will never get to meet Rush, I thought I'm going to have Dream Theater sign my Rush album, which happens to be an original Moving Pictures, by the way. So there's some value that, I mean, there's most of the values to me, of course. To me, this is kind of priceless. I don't think I would sell it. By the way, I got this at college. I was in the TV, radio, film department, and I actually had my own radio show in college. And because of that, we were selling off a bunch of vinyl on the front lawn of our school. And I'm flipping through. Okay, I'm there. I'm part of the sale because I'm part of the department. And we're just selling off old crap vinyl, right? Had I known I'd start a major vinyl collection in the future, I would have picked up more at the time. But I snagged this immediately. When I saw this in the stack of stuff, okay, and there's no vinyl in it, but I just had to have it, of course, right? In a way, this is possibly my first Rush vinyl, sleeve, if you will. But yes, that's what this is. Original Moving Pictures, signed by Dream Theater. Anyway, so I kind of turned it into some wall art. Okay, it's in a frame here. Of course, coming before Moving Pictures, this is a 40th anniversary version. This comes with, of course, the original album, and it has a bonus Permanent Waves World Tour 1980, which is a double album for that whole tour recording. Also in here, I don't know why I kept all this in a stack, but yes, it comes with a great book. Okay, and then this is the vinyl right here. Okay, this is actually the tour vinyl and the album vinyls in here. And then I have, this is original, with vinyl this time, as you can see right here, okay? So I do own the original. This is the reissue. This is what's nuts. I don't know why I have two, and yes, you guys know this is one of my favorite albums for natural science alone, okay? I mean, not to mention, my goodness, not to mention Spirit of Radio, Free Will, Jacob's Ladder, come on. Entre Nous. I mean, the whole stinking album's amazing. And, you know, we wouldn't have Moving Pictures without this album, without the sea change of sound and songwriting dynamics, and what Rush did was so monumental that it led to Moving Pictures. You guys know that story. So I'm only saying that to say I have no idea why I have the two of these. But I do. Hemispheres and Farewell to Kings. As you guys well know, that... Let's see, where are we? Okay. Cygnus X-1. Okay? This was for Record Store Day. And this has Cygnus X-1, you know, Book 1, The Voyage, and also Book 2, Hemispheres, on one single album. Of course, you know that Cygnus is separated across two different albums in real life, but they finally put it on one vinyl, which is so cool. You got the cool brand on the back for Cygnus X-1, the Hemispheres. So, that's what this is. I love this. Have not unwrapped it. Don't plan to. And speak of the devil, this is Hemispheres. This is a reissue. Okay, so again, in that at least 2015 category, I'm not sure, it doesn't matter what year I got it, but yeah, that's what this is. The reissue of Hemispheres, which has, of course, Cygnus Book 2 on it. And this is a Farewell to Kings, a reissue as well. Okay? And, of course, you got Xanadu on here, closer to the heart, come on. But, of course, Cygnus X-1, Book 1. Okay, so the two parts of Cygnus, Book 1 here and Book 2 here. Okay? And then, of course, combined into that one other album. Besides missing a couple of the studio albums, I am missing a Show of Hands and Exit Stage Left, I believe, on vinyl. However, I more than covered it with All the World's a Stage. Here's why. When this came out, reissue, I got it, okay? So I have All the World's a Stage, all right? How many sides on here? Yeah, okay, so it's double vinyl, 4 total sides for the entire concert experience, All the World's a Stage. However, my wife, awesome that she is, she was in a record store this past year and found an original copy. That's what this is. So all these years later, probably 10 years after I got the reissued version of this, she picks this up for a song, and now I have an original copy of All the World's a Stage. And as you know, this is Rush's first live album. Now, I have at least 2 copies of this. I found 2 to show you. 2112. Okay? You know how important it is. How amazing it is. This is the album that changed everything for me. This is the album that turned me into a lifelong, diehard, talking to you now fan. It was 2112. And because of that, yeah, it's only appropriate. I mean, yes, I own multiple vinyl, multiple CDs. I have the making of Blu-ray. I mean, you name it, right? I have my original cassette. I have 2112. I don't have 8-track. That might be the only medium in which I don't own 2112. However, someday, right? And, man, I swear there was at some point I was at an antique store. There's a great one up near where my parents live in Vermont. And I swear I saw an 8-track one time. If I did, I have to question my sanity why I didn't buy it, even if it was $20. But just to have like every form of 2112, I mean, you don't get more nerdy than that. So it'd be perfect for me. So anyway, 2112. That's it. So that's that on vinyl. Those, of course, are reissue. I don't own the original. I wish I did. All right, moving on. This is a reissue of Caress of Steel. Okay. Coming before that, this is a reissue of Fly By Night. Finally, we get to the beginning. Of course, the beginning is self-titled Rush. This is a reissue of the vinyl. More importantly, it came part of this package, which is a really cool package. It is a box, okay? Inside this box, if you haven't seen it, it's pretty cool. It actually has our old masters list, okay? Original handwritten stuff, you know, like for the multi-track tapes that they used. It has this Rush family tree, which shows you different names and personnel leading up to the Rush that we know and love. And again, more master stuff. There is another insert that looks like a an actual reel from, you know, like a multi-reel, a multi-track that they used to record back then on tape. I hardly ever listen to the first album. There's a bunch of reasons for that. I don't need to go into it. We all have our favorites and we all have our least favorites. And when I say least favorite Rush song and or album, it has to do with what I listen to most, what I want to listen to, wow, I can't talk tonight. Oh. You know, you can't blame a guy for trying, right? Anyway, so first album, I don't listen to it that much. It doesn't bloody matter. Why do I even bring these things up? I know why. I can't help myself, but hey, let's do one. We all miss and love Neil, okay? But in case you didn't know, John Rutsey passed away many years ago. And I'm very thankful that Rutsey was there in the beginning to help form Rush and to be part of the original crew. That's so important, right? We wouldn't have the Rush that we have with Neil Peart without at least them having a drummer to begin, right? They had to at least form and start. And just like me getting out certain paragraphs and sentences as I talk to you in real time tonight, sometimes you don't always get it right the first time. And sometimes you're going to do a lot better the second time. All right? And tonight, me talking to you is proof positive of that. But I say that to say this. Rush had to start somewhere. And I'm very thankful to John Rutsey. Okay, may he rest in peace. I'm thankful for his role. He left the band. It's all history now. And we have Neil Peart, and we're better for it. But let's be thankful for the guy that helped start it all, right? Yeah, at least I am. So, there you go, guys. Oh, I have one more special thing to show you. I can't make that sound. Anyway, this, not original, okay? It's a photograph, it's a lithograph, and these are not real signatures of Rush. But it was a cool gift from my wife. I mean, come on. It was a cool gift that I keep framed. And at least I assume these are copies of their signatures, but that's all this is. It's a photograph with copies of their signatures. I'm sure somewhere in the world, someone actually owns an autographed copy of 2112. And dude, if you're watching, let us know. I'd love to see your actual physical album. But I love having this on my wall. That, you know, just having this, even though they're not real, you guys know why. I don't have to explain this to you, right? You know why it's special. My daughter's been collecting vinyl now for a while, which is fantastic. She's only 20, she's in college, and yet she loves vinyl. She has her own record player. In fact, she just bought a floor cabinet. You know those old school, made of sturdy wood with a built-in record player on top, built-in cabinet speakers, the one big giant floor job? She just bought one of those used. Crazy, right? Most of us have saw those go off to a landfill long ago, but she found one and she bought it. She also buys vinyl. She goes to record stores all the time, and her collection is growing. And she now has a cool carry box that came with, you know, a vinyl carrying box, a heavy-duty one with handles, and it has alphabetized tabs in it. Anyway, and so I'm really proud of her. The other day, on Facebook, someone was selling tons and tons of vinyl. And I got to look at these pictures too. Like they just posted like a series of 5 or 6 pictures, right? Snapshots of this vinyl and right, vinyl. And I'm like, wait a second, wait. What is that? No, I need that one. Hold on, I want that one. I'm looking at each picture, and I happen to have leftover from something. I had some money left in my wallet, so I gave it to her. Well, this person was selling original. I mean, it's all original, and some of these are pretty old vinyl for $5 each. This person had no idea what they had. A lot of these are classic, amazing albums, and by bands that I love. I'm a huge fan of the band Yes. When I discovered Rush, I then went in search of more progressive rock. Rush was my entry point. Talk about a great entry point, right? You know, if you're going to start with progressive rock, that's a great place to start. But I soon discovered Yes. And I then find out Yes influenced Rush. And I got to see Yes, the Union tour. I got to go. It was amazing. My mom and I actually went. And it was great. And I got to see Union, which, you know, of course, you know, it had multiple drummers and guitar players and keyboards. It was the Union tour. Just look it up if you don't know it. And the Union album was pretty darn good, too. So I have a nice, healthy collection, a good stack of Yes CDs. And I've had those, of course, for many years. I'm a huge fan of Yes. I've never owned vinyl until this Facebook post when I said, no, I have to have that. $5 each. $5. I mean, come on. I felt like I'm stealing from the person. So let's start off with this. Fragile. Right? You guys know it? This is a Fragile album by Yes. And take it out here. Just slipped it out of its cover. I've not actually taken these out yet. All right, you can see inside here. Track 1, Roundabout. That's a good place to start. And we'll just stop right there. Of course, you guys know Roundabout, Ged played when Yes was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Geddy got to play Roundabout with them. That was awesome. Because, you know, not too long after Rush was inducted, Yes was finally as well. There's Heart of the Sunrise, The Fish. We have Heaven. Point is, yes. 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 I have to say yes to this one. I definitely said yes because, you know, I have not owned a Yes vinyl yet. And this was huge. A big moment that I got to get some Yes on vinyl. Next up, classic 90125. There you go, guys. And, of course, you know, Owner of a Lonely Heart, another great place to start an album. But also on here, It Can Happen, Changes Cinema, Leave It, Our Song, City of Love, Hearts, Lonely Heart. Anyway, this is, of course, from the 80s. But this is when Trevor Rabin, it's either just around or right after he joined Yes. And Trevor Rabin, I love his work. I love what he did with Yes, kind of reinvigorated them. And he went on to orchestrate the first couple seasons of 12 Monkeys, my favorite sci-fi time travel show. Trevor Rabin did the music for that and helped actually build and write the soundtrack and the theme song for 12 Monkeys. And I love that. I love that so much. So yes, 90125 by Yes. So cool. And man, to have it on vinyl now is amazing. Next up, Jimi Hendrix, Best Of. This is actually a pretty new pressing, but come on. Purple Haze, Fire, The Wind Cries Mary, Hey Joe, All Along the Watchtower, yes. Crosstown Traffic. And it goes on and on and on and on. Double album, kind of the best of Jimi Hendrix. And I'm like, I have to have that. It's not original, of course, but I'll take a best of, right? Definitely take a best of. And to have Hendrix on vinyl, very exciting. Next up, Foo Fighters' Greatest Hits. I already own some Foo Fighters. I think I have one of their latest albums. I have a couple Foo Fighters on vinyl. But this is the greatest hits. This was actually great. There's so many great songs on here. All My Life, Best of You, Everlong, The Pretender, My Hero, Learn to Fly, Monkey Wrench, come on. So many great songs, right? Love the Foo Fighters. And of course, we know Dave Grohl, huge Rush fan. And Dave and Taylor, may he rest in peace, gave away, or was the speech guys for Rush when they got into the Hall of Fame. Another Hall of Fame connection here. When Rush was inducted, it was Dave Grohl and Taylor Hawkins that gave it to him. And so yeah, greatest hits, Foo Fighters, had to have it. Had to have it. Many, many, many years ago, I'm thinking early 90s. Yeah, I was somewhere in high school, late high school. There's a small place on Cape Cod called the Melody Tent. And it's literally a tent. It's a hole in the ground, a circular, mini, super tiny arena, right? With seats coming down, okay? And a circular, with a stage in the middle that actually spins, okay? So the artists that playing that stage, whether it's a comedian or a band or whatever, actually spin and can see the entire 360 of the audience. On top of that is kind of a big top tent. Classy, though. It's white. It's not a circus big top. Point is, at the Melody Tent, I've seen many people. I've seen Sinbad 3 times. My friends worked there. So my friends, as I lived on Cape Cod in high school and going back to college, my friends would actually work at the Melody Tent doing popcorn or tickets or whatever. And I got to go meet a lot of the artists that played there. Well, the time that I actually went to see one of the shows, my dad and I went to see Moody Blues. And at that point, I was already a big fan. And I loved Moody Blues' work. And I was learning their catalog and a lot of their music. And my dad and I got to see Moody Blues together. His mind was blown the other day when I told him that I have my original ticket to see Moody Blues with him at the Melody Tent, the actual concert ticket, in my Moody Blues CD. He's like, how do you keep that? I said, Dad, I just put it in the CD case. It's where I keep all my concert tickets with the artist. Yeah. But he was kind of blown away that I would still have that. But the other day, when my daughter saw this Facebook post, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Moody Blues albums. This one is The Other Side of Life. Okay. Your Wildest Dreams is on here. See, I Don't Care, Run Now Love. Point is, yes, Moody Blues. There's one right there. Huge album next. The Days of Future Past, Moody Blues, with the London Festival Orchestra. Huge album, right, guys? The afternoon, lunch break, morning, dawn. Anyway, the whole day, this is a great album with an orchestra. And it's that whole orchestral proggy type of music, right? A certain type of that was them, and I love Moody Blues for that. Okay, they were visionaries in their own right, and so I haven't talked about Moody Blues before, but I've been a fan for many, many years, and I love that I got to see them. So yes, I started off with Yes, got to see them, and I also got to see Moody Blues. So this little find of Facebook that my daughter found 2 artists that I love. Never had vinyl for them before, and I've seen these people live, and it's really special. Next up, Moody Blues, A Question of Balance, The Present. Okay, Moody Blues, The Present. More vinyl. After that, Moody Blues, Octave. Just reading some of these songs. I've not actually looked at these closely. I was just excited to show you guys. So yeah, at least 5 Moody Blues albums. Original vinyl here. So cool, right? Next up, you guys have talked about it. I don't know enough about this band. This band is name checked all the time in kind of the prog rock area, classic rock, Deep Purple. All right, guys, you probably could tell me more about this album and about Deep Purple. I don't know enough about them, but when I saw it, knowing that my friends out there, you guys, have talked about Deep Purple, I had to have it. And this is called Machine Head. So I'm going to check this out sometime. That is Machine Head. And my final bonus album, my daughter gave this to me. This is Billy Joel, Glass Houses. She loves Billy Joel. She loves getting Billy Joel vinyl. And what's great is that she's like, Dad, I already have a copy. Why don't you keep that? I'm like, yeah, I don't own any Billy Joel vinyl. So I'm just stoked that she actually gave me my first Billy Joel. Leave it to my daughter. You know you've raised your kid right. When, heck, she's studying TV and film production. That's what I studied, okay? She wants to go into this field in some capacity, just as I have throughout my years. And she's collecting vinyl. She's got the record player. She's into all this vintage stuff. And I'm thinking, sweetheart, you're collecting stuff that was actually in our time, right? All of us together here in this audience, you, me. To her, it's vintage. It's classic. It's cool. Even her clothes are starting to edge that way. And she wants to decorate her new apartment that way. And I'm thinking, that was just what we had back then. You know, it's like coming up to me. It's like, check out this cool Sony Walkman, and I can put tapes in it, and I can press play, and you know, and I have these cool little headphones. I'm going, yeah, that's what we used to use. You know, it's funny when our contemporary tech and our contemporary music, our contemporary media of you and I growing up becomes the hip vintage stuff. Weird, right? Hashtag, that's when you know you're getting old. Triumph from Toronto, Canada. And one of our friends here, Matt, sent me one of their albums. Matt, thank you, dude. I'm really happy to learn more about bands of which I didn't really know about. And this is the album that he sent me. It is a collection of classics from Triumph. It's a double album. This is on vinyl. And side A of vinyl 1 is Tears in the Rain, and then Lay It on the Line, I Live for the Weekend, Magic Power, and then side B is Someone Out There, Spellbound, A World of Fantasy, Follow Your Heart. Album 2, vinyl 2, is Fight the Good Fight, Rock and Roll Machine, Hold On, and then the final side, the fourth side of this double album, Never Surrender Live, and Blinding Light Show / Moonchild. Also a live track. Matt, thank you, dude. Thank you for this double vinyl. Matt sent a note with this, and man, closer to my heart he could not be. I love what he wrote here, and you're about to learn why. He wrote, "Hello, Eric. Although this is brand new, and it's unplayed, this album is unplayed, and I purchased it a few months back. I didn't bother to return it." So basically, he's saying that the top is damaged. I honestly cannot see any damage to this vinyl, to the case, or he's saying that, so basically he didn't return it. He said the top was damaged, and what this does is, and he goes on to say that it gives him an excuse to buy a replacement. On the back, see, that's the cursive note that I was kind of paraphrasing for you. On the back he said, "P.S. I hope you can read my cursive. My print is usually better too, but I wrote this quickly. PPS." I love it. The album was not ordered through Acoustic Sounds. Matt has told me a lot about acoustic sounds, and I want to tell you guys about that. A website, a company through which you can buy vinyl and a lot of really cool stuff. So Matt highly recommends Acoustic Sounds. And however, this was not purchased through them, this Triumph album. I then went on a quest. A journey to learn more about Triumph. Honestly, I didn't know much about them. And I learned that there's Rick Emmett, Mike Levine, and Gil Moore. Gil Moore is the drummer, and he actually sings as well as drums, which is kind of cool. You know, that Portnoy can do that kind of thing. But Rick Emmett is, I believe that Mike and Gil started, by the way, all the information I have came from a YouTube documentary, and Matt shared that link with me. This documentary is in 4:3. It's from I believe the late 90s, and it's a really old kind of archive footage because of that, right? It's close to 30 years old. And in that, of course, eventually Triumph did break up. Rick was the third person to come to the band. Sound familiar? Where they had two core people, and then a third person joined them. And then Rick eventually was the guy that left the trio of Triumph. So I learned a lot about Triumph, and Matt, I'm so grateful for this really cool present. I would never have purchased this on my own. I really knew nothing about Triumph. And honestly, I'm such a, what's the best word? I'm not even sure what the word is. I'm very particular with what I like and what I listen to. Very particular. I like certain bands, certain music, and I stick to them. I wait for their new releases, and I don't expand that bubble very much. I really don't. And so, therefore, this was an expansion of that, where I learned a lot more about a band. And also, blowing my mind is the fact that Triumph is also from Toronto, Canada. I found that really kind of cool. And given that Rush is from Toronto. So, Matt, thank you very much for this classics, all right, Triumph album, this double vinyl. I appreciate it, buddy. The gift means as much as the album does. That you shared this with me, that you sent this directly to me, it means so much. And so many of you mean so much. Kyle. And also Neil. Neil, thank you, with 2 L's. Getting to know you, brother, having your support here and on Rumble means the world to me. And of course, there's Tim and there's Alan and there's Michael. There's many of you that I've grown really close to. And your friendship and support means so much to me. Forgive me if I'm not mentioning all of you. I can't. I don't have the memory banks for it, the capacity in my RAM, that quick access memory, and it's not stored in the long. Man, I got to stop doing analogies to computers. But anyway, Matt, thank you so much for this Triumph album. It means a lot to me. Eventually, I will play it. But the fact that I watched the documentary, I learned about this band I knew nothing about before, and learned about their music, and thank you, Matt. I really appreciate it, buddy. In one of our recent Rush family meetings, our live shows, Matt also suggested that I get a particular Blu-ray player because I said that I was unable to play my special edition Snakes and Arrows, which is basically a multi-format CD. And on it, though, are video files. There's a great documentary on here called The Game of Snakes and Arrows. I have not seen it in years. I really want to watch it. So Matt said, hey, get a particular Blu-ray player. And I did. Matt, I actually ordered this sucker. Yes, I got this Sony. Okay. It is not a full 4K HDR Blu-ray player. However, it can up-res, right? It has the software codecs and the ability to take regular high definition and then up-res that to 4K. So the point is, I wrote it down during our Rush family meeting, during the live show. I did order this player. I have it right here. Here's the bummer, that when I use this player to then attempt to play my Snakes and Arrows special, it will play it. I can play back the album. However, I still am unable to access the documentary, The Game of Snakes and Arrows. I can't access it. And that was a big bummer. I do have a spare Blu-ray player, if anyone needs one. Of course, it's brand new, but it would not play that part of the disc. These multimedia discs are written in layers, okay? And depending on the player, but also the software that decodes the data coming from the disc. So these are built-in layers, in that these lasers can access like a certain layer for audio files, another layer for data files, and so on. And that's how they're encoded. However, this player can see the audio files. Great. It works. I can pull up a menu so I can then choose whatever song from Snakes and Arrows I want to listen to. And by the way, this sucker is encoded in 5.1. So if you ever wanted to listen to a 5.1 version, a mix of Snakes and Arrows, this is the bad boy to do it. However, the actual video files, which a lot of times with DVDs at least, it's a video TS file. That's just how they encode it, and they pack it up with that wrapper. And then, as in a candy wrapper, not a wrapper. And then basically the player has the ability to then play back that data file, read it, and then play back the audio and video, a video file. Anyway, I was kind of bummed out. Matt, thank you for the recommendation. Yes, I do have a spare Blu-ray player now. So I gave it a try, Matt. I wanted to let you know that. And Matt, I really appreciate the fact that you are a diehard nerd like I am. You obviously have an affinity for vinyl and the sound that they bring us, for physical media. You've told me so in our corresponding, ours back and forths. But also, you have pointed out hardware to then play back the software that we have, the physical media. So, man, that level of being a nerd or a geek, oh, so close to my heart. Closer to my heart, man. I appreciate you, Matt. So guys, if you do want to at least play back the 5.1 version of this, yeah, most Blu-ray players will do it, but this particular Blu-ray player will not play back the video. So I was a little bit bummed out about that, but I digress. Hey, Matt, I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. We all love collecting stuff from our favorite band, and Rush has done an amazing job through the years. An insanely amazing job, meaning that they're marketing, and I'm not sure who's doing it. But the fact is, I see something with the name Rush on it, and I want to collect it. I think that's called obsessive compulsive disorder. That's definitely, I definitely suffer from that. Just before I came in here down in my bunker to talk to you guys, I spent over an hour. And by the way, it's the middle of the freaking night. A lot of times, because I deal, that's not even a great word. I've had multiple neck surgeries. I am now fused from my second vertebrae to the base of my skull. And I say now, I've been living with this crap for 30 years. So my days are long, my days are difficult, my days are hard because of pain. Sucks. It freaking sucks. But I deal with it, and I try to maintain my positivity. And sometimes I fail at that, but don't we all, right? None of us are perfect. Me, I'm the greatest among. So therefore, a lot of times it's not till the middle of the night, at least after midnight, till I'm feeling halfway decent. I'm feeling like Eric. I want to be able to feel like myself, meaning I want to feel good enough to be jovial, to want to share with you. And I don't mean to make this all about me, although you are watching my channel, so I guess that kind of makes sense. But guys, we're talking about all of this stuff, and it's crazy, right? It's an amazing band, amazing music, and the best lyrics ever written. It's Rush. But all of a sudden, we're buying bobbleheads and toys, hats, and lunchboxes? Now, one thing you guys haven't seen, I'm going to get out by the way, this is my new phone. I'm going to do a video about this soon. This phone is freaking awesome. This is the Samsung Galaxy S25. My wife got a deal. It's been years since I got an upgrade. So there you go. By the way, that's the guy headed to the temples of Syrinx at 3 in the morning. Okay. So I'm going to whip out my camera here. I could have put that a better way. I'm going to take out my phone, and I'm going to record. I am now recording what's on the wall in front of... All right, so there's me in a monitor, right? You can see me in real time. I am talking. You can see my mouth moving. I'm going to pan up, or tilt up, actually. Panning is this way. Tilting is this way. It's just a technical TV term. All right, so I'm looking at... And by the way, I'm showing you I believe it's the R30 drum set. This has been hanging on my wall ever since I built this room down in the bunker. And over here to the left, up there in the corner, you can see, by the way, there's an original 1983 Star Wars B-Wing fighter from Star Wars. Yeah, that's original, guys. That sucker's original. All right, so, yeah, that is... But on the wall, you can see I have a black thing hanging there. I have a big reflective surface for my light. That's so you can actually see me. Right? So it's hard to see people in the dark. Lights are helpful. All right, but I have a reflector. But so I'm covering a part of Peart's drum set. But for TV production, I made that small sacrifice. Plus, it's probably like a floor tom, or something like, who cares? All right, so there it is. That's on the wall. I love that so much. When you love a band, we collect almost anything, right? Rush could come out with a box of toothpicks. Like, dude, those are Rush toothpicks. And it says 2112 on the side. Gotta have them. And then you pick your teeth and you throw it in the trash. What is that obsession with our favorite bands, right? It just, but I don't care. I believe that most of you also enjoy loving Rush, collecting Rush stuff. Let's now look at, well, I could have started that better. Let's try it again. Let's now look at the awesome painting my wife got me for Christmas a few years ago. This is the painting. My Rush, by the way, you can see there's a Hylian sword to the left there. Okay? That's from Zelda, and the hilt is broken. But you know what? Given Tears of the Kingdom and that we have to repair weapons, I love that the hilt is broken. So that's my Hylian sword. By the way, that belongs to my son Landon. He has graciously allowed me to keep that on my wall. So it's part of my backdrop, and I love Zelda. I love Zelda more than you know. And then, of course, this is my Star Wars poster autographed by Carrie Fisher, Mark Hamill, and Harrison Ford, celebrating the re-release that happened about 25-something years ago. Over there is my autographed Dream Theater, all of Dream Theater, signed the Dream Theater album. But, guys, yes, here's what's awesome. The artist that made this poster, her initials are Art. How cool is that? But yeah, celebrating Rush in 40 years, R40, and all that good stuff. This is my custom. And she commissioned this to be painted for me. And this is what you see behind me in all of my different, all my different videos. Now, if we pan over slowly to here, this poster is signed by Larry Bird. That's right, up there in the corner. He is my favorite basketball player of all time. I'm a huge Celtics fan. And this is signed by Larry Bird. And to prove that this is signed by Larry Bird, this is a picture of Larry Bird signing the poster back behind me. Let's go, whatever, I'll go this way. Yeah, so yeah, this is him actually signing it with Sharpie in hand. Visual proof, there's a certificate on the back, but yes, my favorite basketball player from the Boston Celtics, Larry Bird, signed the poster behind me. So yes, I have an autographed Star Wars, a custom Rush painting, and an autographed Larry Bird. I also have one of my favorite cooks of all time, one of my favorite chefs, Alton Brown. I have something autographed by him as well. Why do we collect stuff? You and I love Rush, whether it's your favorite band or one of the bands that are one of your favorites. Rush is up there, right? We all recognize the genius, the hard work, tenacity, and near-perfection drum playing, lyric writing of Neil Peart, but also the mastery of bass, and he's an amazing singer too, Geddy Lee, and the virtuoso of both one-liners and guitar playing, Alex Lifeson. Rush is a once-in-a-lifetime. Once in a lifetime. That's why I have dedicated so much of my time to talking about Rush. I've dedicated decades to collecting Rush stuff. Yeah, you have to have your Starman lunchbox. And what's inside? Well, it's not hard to guess with me. It is full of Star Wars knickknacks, lightsabers, swords, capes, even Lego figures, R2-D2. Okay, there's an old Fisher-Price toy in here. But yeah, this is kind of like a miscellaneous box. I messed up Endor Leia without her hair. Nice. Good look. I think she's going through treatment, so pray for her. She has cancer. Wow, that's a dark joke. Don't care. All right, this is a sand person missing his hands. But yeah, I mean, there's just weapons after weapons in here. This whole box is full of Star Wars miscellaneous weapons and accessories for my different Star Wars figures. Mostly, though, this stuff is from the 25 years ago. In that time, Star Wars had reissues of like their entire line. The Millennium Falcon you see right back here. That, by the way, is from 25 years ago. It has lights and sounds, and you can play inside. It has a little board where you can play the game for that kind of 3D chess stuff that they do. Why do I bring that up? Well, number one, when you watch the, I believe, first season of Stranger Things, and they're down in the basement, and they've already encountered 11. And 11 is over there, and there's this one scene in one of the episodes of season 1 where she's using her powers, her telekinetic powers, and she's lifting up a Millennium Falcon. That show takes place in the 80s. Guess what? The Millennium Falcon they used for that shot is not from the 80s. That is the one that I have right back here. Meaning that was actually made and produced back in 99, 2000. So at this point, it's 25 years old. On the way to being an antique. Dude, what's up with that? How is 2000, the year 2000, 1999, 2001, burned into our skulls? We'll never forget 9/11. Never forget, guys. Never forget what happened to us that day. Whew. Getting serious. Back to the... All right, so... Point is, about all this, we collect stuff. Why do we collect stuff? We collect stuff because I think, A, I love the band, Rush. B, I do have obsessive compulsive perfectionist tendencies, yes. That's part of why I tend towards being an artist. I'm not a traditional artist, though. My dad can sculpt, he can paint, he can draw, he can build with wood or any other material. He is a traditional, hands-on, tactile artist. However, my skill set has tended towards, been trained for, and many, many years experience of being a digital artist. That's what I can do. I can make Photoshop files, and create art that way. I can make videos. I'm doing my best to talk to you on camera. All of these are digital arts. That's my specialty. At least I try, right? That's all we can do. All right, so moving on. Why are you here? Because we're here. Let's roll the Funko. These are 3 Funko toys. Why did I start all of this by talking about the middle of the night? Because I just spent over an hour looking for... I have 2 of these. This one is obviously empty, which contained these 3 figures inside. These Funko Pop figures. I can't believe I'm getting this correct. Okay? Getty and Neil and Alex. And it came inside... That's not funny. Okay. We're back. Sometimes crap happens. That's the back of the box. It's a 3-pack of Funko Pops, okay? If you go get in a time machine, let's just say it's a DeLorean, all right? Go back in time. The year 1972 to 1974, somewhere in that time period. Okay? Let's go with 74. And you walked up to Rush right after they play Cleveland on August 26, 1974, the first time they're on broadcast, the day I was born. You walk up to them and say, guys, someday there's going to be a toy made of you. What do you think they would say? I think Neil would roll his eyes and light a cigarette and walk away. Alex would probably make some kind of one-line crack, and Getty would be like, yeah, I can see it. So the point is, can you imagine a young, hungry, early 20s Rush just starting out in America, big, beautiful America, finding success, and they will in the next couple of years. And someday there'll be a toy of them. Can you fathom that? Why do I say all this? Dreams. Guys, don't give up. Don't give up. Recently, I have suffered from a crisis of confidence. Hey, that's not bad. Let's go with that. I've suffered from a crisis of confidence. Sounds like something a stupid therapist would say. But we're going to still go with it. The point is, all the crap going on in my life has made me start to doubt my ability to charge forward, seize the day, and attempt to make my dreams come true. And that can happen to all of us. When you're in it, allow those dark days to happen, but don't lose that spark. A lot of times I'll do this. Okay, we're circling back. I hate that term given who came up with it. But let's think back to what I talked about earlier. How it took me all day to feel good enough to talk to you now. If I let that get me down enough, depressed enough to where I never feel like coming in here and talking with you, then this wouldn't have happened. So don't give up. Allow those times to happen and keep going. Speaking of, and what does Getty say? Yes. Yes, I think that's a good idea. And if Neil were here with us, he'd also say yes. And so would Alex. He'd say yes. That's right, guys. Rush has bobbleheads. Yes. Yes, they have bobbleheads. And of course, our man, our Neil, with his kimono, of course. Not the best decision they ever made, but hey, it's part of the legacy, right? The Rush bobbleheads. Yes, I agree. It's pretty great. And Ged's like, guys, get back to work. We have to make an album. Fine. All right. Rush bobbleheads. This also came out from Funko. Exit stage left. That's the girl. And you can see her in the picture right behind her on the back. The album cover. This is mint in box. Just like my other set of bobbleheads is also mint in box. Now, my only request, my deepest heart's desire, is that we have the set of Funko toys, right? But I would love to see a set for all eras of Rush. Okay? 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, and beyond. I would love to see Funko Pops for each era, updated hairstyles, clothing options, and so on. I would love to see that someday. Because, while it's cool to have the vintage kimono look, I am dropping. Okay, and there goes Alex. While it's cool to have the vintage kimono look, it's still... Man, I just wanted to swallow what happened just now. My dream of showing you guys my bobblehead. Oh my goodness, you guys. I can't believe I'm showing this on camera. I just told myself, don't show him, don't show him, don't show him. Keep talking, keep talking, keep talking. And then I'm just like, frick, Alex is broken. But you know what? I can actually clip him back in. He's sort of back okay. I'll have him glue him. My son is the maestro of a glue gun. I'll have him glue him. That is freaking depressing. But believe me, I'm sure Alex would have a one-liner about losing his head during this video. Oh, man. Frick, that sucks. All right. Yes, I have a one-liner. Contact me at 1-8. All right, moving on. I can't even get that joke up. Next up, mugs. Yes, when I ordered one of my favorite albums is Counterparts, and I ordered this mug, I opened it on camera for the first time, saw a chip in it. A couple weeks later, I got an email from Backstage Club, and Backstage Club said, hey, you got a new mug yet? And I said, no. And they sent me a new mug. Actually, what's inside here? Oh, this is my, by the way, this is my 12 Monkeys necklace. That's what that is, from 12 Monkeys. All right, sign of the witness. But the point is, I got a new mug from Backstage Club after they contacted me. Thank you, Backstage Club. Your attention to detail and customer service, I truly do appreciate. This mug I had to have. Also, we saw this in an earlier video. Established in 1974 or since 1974, so am I. Okay, Rush's 50th anniversary, so is mine. Sweet, sweet, awesome, cool mug. And what else do we have? I don't know. That might be it. Guys, what's crazy is, and I say crazy, yeah, we collect stuff through the years for our favorite bands, TV shows, movies, celebrities we like, but especially Rush. And I wanted to be serious for a moment and say that if it weren't for Hugh Syme, if you look at all of your album covers of Rush, okay? Tour books, and so on. The sweet art that you see is because of Hugh Syme. He has helped chart that course in artistic sensibility. Given the ideas and vision of Neil Peart, okay? I believe Neil was really instrumental in coming up with some of these concepts, if not all. But Hugh Syme took that and ran with it. And I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to Hugh Syme, wherever he is right now. Thank you, brother. Because the artwork and the conceptual art and a way to give us a visual world to represent music, notes on a page, strums of a guitar, beats of a drum, but you're turning that into a visual medium, right? The connecting interlace of those two things, music and visuals and art. They did that with their tours, but that even came from the album art. So I'm very thankful to Hugh Syme. He's given us some amazing material. We wouldn't have the Starman without him, for example. And so on and so on. And Roll the Bones, the kid kicking the skull. The Hemispheres with the two guys on each side, the naked guy and the proper guy with the bowler hat or whatever. You know, I could go on and on and on and on. The effect of Hugh Syme on the artistry of Rush. And what it does is it unlocks that inner part of us, that imagination. That yearning for adventure in the mystical. In the possibilities of what art and music, and when they collide, that's what Rush is. And it's that perfect union of those two things that made so many of us fall in love with Rush, right? Because it was a total package. And a total package not, ever since 2112, influenced by a boardroom and ad executives and record executives and all that kind of crap. This is art made by artists, and to me, that's everything. Just like the song Spirit of Radio. The concert t-shirt. The t-shirts you buy at the concert of your favorite band. It is iconic. It is a staple of every tour. All the bands, they sell their merch, right? And so many times through the years, you and I have bought a t-shirt. It is just something that we do. We go see our band, and a lot of us get a t-shirt on the way out. A good friend of mine in my homeroom of my high school, he made a comment once. He's like, you always wear the same thing. Jeans and a concert t-shirt. It's true. That was like one of my that was like my apparel back then. And, you know, meaning I've always been in jeans and a t-shirt. I'm just that kind of guy. So, it becomes part of who you are because, you know, you just want to be one with the band. But one of my most favorite prized possessions, my favorite Rush items, besides the custom painting on the wall back here that my wife had commissioned for me. She commissioned an artist, and that's my custom Rush painting back there. Besides that is my Rush Clockwork Angels hat. I love this hat. This hat's been all over the country with me. I've had it now since, 2012, thereabouts. I've had this hat for many, many, many years. You can tell how frayed it is around the edges here. And the day that I went to see R40, we went for a sail that morning. We were on Cape Cod, Massachusetts. We're going to see R40 in Boston that day. And we go out of my Uncle Gary's boat. And my dad's on there, my wife's on there. We're going for a sail. The wind kicks up. I was wearing my hat like this, stupidly, not in reverse. The wind blows it off into Cape Cod Bay. And it was floating seconds before it went under it was so close to going under the water. I'm just watching it like a hawk. I'm like, that's my Rush hat. And I've already had it for 3 years at that point, right? And we have a hook, the kind of thing that you use to pull yourself to the dock or grab a rope or from a mooring or something like that when you're sailing and you're up near the dock. So we had this kind of hook, and we went over there and over the edge, reaching out into the bay right before it slipped under the waves. I snagged my hat out of the ocean. What did I do? I put it right on my head with the Atlantic Ocean seawater all over my head, and it was actually felt really good on that warm summer day. But this is so important to me, all right, this hat. And I never really wear it on camera, but I wanted to do it now because here's why. We're going to talk about concert t-shirts. And I'm going to show you some of the ones I've collected through the years, about, I believe, like 10 of them, plus a bonus one. In recent years, when the re-release 40th anniversary came out, I did get this, which I think is pretty darn cool. This is the Farewell to Kings hat, okay? So this is my Farewell to Kings hat. More recently, fast forward, for R50, after I got a chipped mug in the mail for my Counterparts Rush mug, it was chipped, Backstage Club saw my video where actually I opened it up. I did an unboxing, chip mug. They saw that video. They sent me a new mug. They contacted me. So that was the coolest friggin' thing ever. That Backstage Club contacts me. Hey, did you get a new mug? No, I didn't. And basically, but for packing materials with my new unchipped mug, this mug, they sent a 3-pack of socks. So I actually have a 3-pack of Rush socks, which I thought fell into the category of apparel. So, moving on. One of my favorite all-time Rush shirts is this one. Classic Rush Starman, okay? And on the back, Starman once again. My wife on Cape Cod recently, when we were up there, I believe for this past Christmas, came back from a record store or something, and with this shirt, this is another 2112 shirt. So the other one's one of my oldest t-shirts, but this is actually pretty new. So I'm not sure who makes it, when it was made. It does say Rush inside the label. The Moving Pictures Anniversary Edition came with a t-shirt. This is that t-shirt for Moving Pictures. So this actually came with the 40th anniversary release of Moving Pictures. Roll the Bones. I love this shirt. Yeah. My daughter has actually snagged this from me a few times and worn it, and I managed to get it back. But yes, Roll the Bones, all the concert dates in the back. I saw them right here in Worcester, Mass. Okay, right there in the middle, Worcester, Mass. Yeah, that's where I saw it. So that's Roll the Bones, which was my very first Rush concert. So this shirt is my first Rush shirt for my first Rush concert. Got this at the concert. This was up here high on my wall over here to my left, just past the Star Wars ship. Anyway, it's above the closet door of my bunker down here. A Roll the Bones hat from the Roll the Bones concert. Counterparts. This is a bummer. Okay, 1992 Counterparts. All right. Bleach or a hole got in it at one point, and now I have a big rip. But it's still an original from the concert. Vapor Trails. So this is Vapor Trails straight from the concert as well. Somewhere in Texas. I forgot where in Texas, but yeah. You can see this one's red. And boy, is that red. My goodness sakes. With all the concert dates in the back. Geddy Lee, the bass master, with his autograph on there. It's kind of cool. Back in the early 2000s when it came out, I got this shirt. My favorite headache. Geddy Lee. I love this shirt. Because it's just unique from a certain time period. And it's his only solo album. I mean, come on. So anyway. Yep, Geddy Lee, my favorite headache. Of course, to go with Neil Peart's last book, Silver Surfers, Sports Cars of the 60s. And on the back, you can see that Neil Peart with this hat, my Clockwork Angels hat, blew into the ocean. But that night, we went to see R40. Magical, amazing. Last time I got to see Rush, last time any of us got to see Rush live. And it was spectacular. And I got a t-shirt. That was in Boston at the Garden. And my dad and my wife came with me. It was amazing. And when I was there, I got this t-shirt. Rush. R40. So, I have Roll the Bones, my very first Rush concert. And R40, my very last Rush concert. See how they're kind of special, right? Little moments in time, little waypoints. Talk about vintage. See how faded that is? Cool shirt, though. In its prime, this was an amazing looking shirt. Still is cool looking, though. But and on the back, Union, 1991, with the tour dates. And I saw them, I believe, in Western Mass. Yeah, it was an outdoor amphitheater out there. Oh, it was Great Woods. Yeah. I saw them at Great Woods. And now it's... Neil Peart, in a couple of his books, talks about how that venue in particular, Great Woods, now has some ugly named corporate sponsor, this and this bank, such and such insurance company, whatever it might be, some corporate entity, instead of a lovely name, right? This beautiful natural sounding name. Great, it's the Great Woods. It's a Great Woods amphitheater. Now it's like, Citibank amphitheater. So cold, so detached. But at that time it was called Great Woods. These are two of my concert tickets to R40. I assume my wife and mine. When we saw, right here, Rush, R40 live tour, TD Garden, June 23rd, 2015 at 7:30 p.m. That's right. Anyway, yes, these are our concert tickets. We were on the floor. Pretty far back, but good enough. I got some really good video. I've shared that with you guys. So these are the concert tickets. Now, weird story surrounding my R40 experience. Part of that experience was this. I had bought 2 tickets, and they were these special deluxe packages, right? And it came with a bunch of extra goodies, one of which, it came with a duffel bag, an R40 duffel bag. It came with a tour book and also this. R40 Tour 2015. Inside of this are 4 wooden guitar picks. There's a little holder for them. It's magnetic. You can kind of hear it click there. All right, and you can see the seagull from the R40 artwork and R40. Of course, the Starman, pretty colored wood there, and the classic Rush logo font. So yeah, really cool. That was a really cool gift. However, I ended up selling those tickets on a ticket selling website, and because I wanted to bring my dad, and I had to sell off those 2 tickets. Or my wife, one of the two. I need to add a third person, so there would be 3 of us. So I was able to actually sell them, recoup my money, and I got 3 tickets on the floor from my dad, my wife, and myself. So, however, I got to keep the goodies. I just sold the tickets, and I got to keep the goodies. That was cool. So yes, I still have a duffel. I gave the other duffel bag to Joel years ago, my friend Joel. And I may have given him the other ones of these as well, because I only have 1. And by the way, a lot of times when I need to sync up cameras, when I'm shooting like this in multiple cameras, this is what I do. I go 3, 2, 1, and this acts as a little clapboard. 3, 2, 1, and I sync up the audio and video to get both cameras synced up. So there you go. Now the R40 tour book. This is it. In case you have never seen it, okay. On the back, Starman, the painted swath. It says 2015 on there. And you guys have seen this artwork before. And by the way, yeah, there's the boys. And inside's a big old story by Neil Peart. It's called Live It All Again. How perfect is that? From the lyric, of course. And here's a picture of them writing Natural Science, the studio video shoot, 1980, a picture there. There's a graphic from Presto. Great picture of Alex. Another great picture of Alex here. Some outdoors pictures of Neil with his... And you know what? Monsters from the Deep. I bet that has to do with... I believe his R40 set came from an ancient, almost petrified log they found in a river somewhere in the world, and they turned that into, they used that wood for his set. And I believe that's what that story is recalling, as in Monsters from the Deep, his drums from the deep. Here's Ged in an equipment list. There's a great picture of Geddy right there. One of his classic old jazz Fender basses. You can see all the wear and tear on there. That's a great picture. I love how the most serious music and lyrics, right? Just serious in that. It's just great. And however, they never took themselves seriously. And I think that's what adores so much of us to them, right? Is that you have to have a sense of humor. And I believe that's part of their unity through the years, is that sense of humor, uniting them, paving it a smooth surface over what could be quite a bumpy ride, right? You know, no married couple gets along famously forever. You know, there's bumps in the road, as there is with a brotherhood, as there is with a band, but they stay together all those years. A sense of humor helps with that. At least I've found. You can see equipment here. Some more great pictures. The boys playing. Whole bunch of great pictures here. Really good stuff. Alex pretending to sing along, of course. Doing his kind of big windmill move. Anyway, the photography in these books, stellar, right? It's top notch, as it should be. Really good stuff. And Boys with a Couple of Pints. I believe that's a picture of Neil over in England. There's the boys playing with. That's probably them getting ready for the Hall of Fame. I see Nick on bass, old Rickenbacker bass. I see Taylor on drums, and I see Dave Grohl on guitar. Yeah, so that's probably them practicing. They played, as you know, those three played 2112 for the Hall of Fame ceremony. Oh, these are some great pictures. And, of course, credits for the crew and the tour and the band and the management. And this is just a great picture, set of three as well. The boys. And back here we have... Wow, all the studio albums. I've not looked at this in years, so hence my surprise, right? All the studio albums, the live albums, the compilations, they're all listed right here. This massive, massive list. And in addition, photos of all of them. Hence, 40 years of Rush. Celebrating 40 years. And how appropriate is it that we now are 10 years out from this? A lot's happened since then. Here we are in 2025. This being 2015. A lot's happened. We lost Neil. But we're celebrating our 50 this year, as we've done here on this channel and in our own lives. And coming up, I'm going to do an even deeper dive into the R50 box set. A real deep dive where we'll kind of do what we did here. So be looking for that video, page by page, song by song, CD, vinyl, photos, and so on. We're going to do a much deeper dive. So anyway, for now, we looked at the clothes, the hats, the socks, but I wanted to do a quick dive into some of the cool merch that we get either by buying tickets or that you get there at the concert venue. So as we stand here in 2025, physical media for video, of course, we have Blu-ray, we have 4K Blu-ray. That's where we're at now. But working up to that, we went through 3 different iterations of type of video. One of which is, this is a cassette tape for Rush Chronicles and has a bunch of their music videos on the back. So when Chronicles came out, there was a music video, and of course it's called Chronicles, an actual VHS videotape, all in 4x3, all analog video. Then, when DVD came around, we went digital. Still 4x3, remastered, Slightly better quality, because DVD is slightly better quality than VHS. But yes, this is the actual DVD. Okay. Which then, that allowed us to have selectable menus, wherein you can have a menu and like, I want to listen to this song, I want to listen to this song, and cue it up like that, just like you can with a CD, with an interactive on-screen menu. You know how DVD works. So that was great. Huge improvement over VHS. Russian Rio also put out on DVD. This is a double DVD of Russian Rio. Okay, when the boys went down, including a documentary called The Boys in Brazil. And what's great is with DVDs, it was really common back then to have Easter eggs. This one has Easter eggs. It says, to find the Bytor movie, listen for the reference and press enter. Or to find the Anthem 1975, choose the correct combination and unlock the vault. Easter eggs. Love them. That was a cool little thing. And I used to make DVDs, actually. I've made many DVDs myself. And it is quite easy when you know how to use DVD software, authoring software to author a DVD. That's what it's called. When I created menus, I could actually have hidden buttons, or I could have press right at this place, and it would actually trigger either another menu or trigger a video file that I've embedded onto the DVD. So I've done a lot of DVD production myself. So I love it when people make Easter eggs, because I used to do the same with my home movies. I'd make a DVD and I'd actually bake Easter eggs into them and secret menus and stuff. But I digress. So yes, this is R30, also put out on DVD, also has Easter eggs as well. And I love this one. On the back it says, Easter eggs, good luck, find them. So that's really cool. And that's something they continued onto Blu-ray as well. I believe the Clockwork Angels one has a hidden Easter egg where you press a menu button up or down or whatever, and it triggers the Alex joke. You guys are probably well versed in knowing what that is, and I've actually included it in one of my videos before. Neil Peart had a couple DVDs, instructional videos on how to do solos, how to compose drums, and this is one of them called Anatomy of a Drum Solo, and this is all Neil Peart, okay? Interviews with him talking about his drum setup, him talking about how to play drums in different rhythms and patterns, and exploring different drum patterns and ideas on his drum set. This is also put out on DVD. And then Alex went back, because so much of their content was put out on VHS, he wanted to remaster them, and he did. I have one of those, and that one is A Show of Hands. Alex actually went through and did a remix, like a surround remix of the audio, and put out a new DVD. This is like early 2000s that Alex redid some old VHS, updated them for DVD. And of course, things got a lot better, of course. Moving away from 4:3, of course, DVDs could do widescreen, could do 16:9, but so much of what we had back then was called 4:3, right? Okay, our TVs at that time were 4:3, but when we went widescreen, 16:9 or even wider, but most of the time 16:9, that's something that we saw in full force because of HD. When we moved to high definition, we needed not only the bandwidth, we needed the storage and the capacity, and therefore carrying quality, carrying a high definition video file with a much better audio presence, okay? We had new audio mixes and Dolby sounds and DTS. All of those are baked into what we're talking about next, which is Blu-ray. So before we move on to Blu-ray, I did want to mention something really cool with the retrospective, and there were 3 of them. Okay, this is Greatest Hits of Rush. This is retrospective 3. And as you can see, it's from Presto all the way to Snakes and Arrows, and including feedback, okay? So a great song list from all of those albums. But in addition to update what we got with the music videos for Chronicles, came a DVD. Okay, so Retrospective 3 had a CD with all of the songs on the back from these albums. In addition, has this DVD with it, with music videos updated all the way current through this release. So that was really cool, because there are some really cool videos through that time that I really love, actually. One for Driven, where these cool little steampunk go-karts in a factory, and Rush is just playing. It's a really cool video. Another one is Stick It Out, which I covered with my band in college. We did Stick It Out, and I got to sing Stick It Out. That was awesome. And so Stick It Out is also on here. Really weird, kind of funky video. Another one is Half the World, that music video. So yes, if you ever want to see Rush music videos, they're right here. Retrospective 3 comes with a DVD. Another weird thing happened during that time with the rise of computers and computers being able to play back video, and computer drives went beyond CD level. They went to like DVD level. Okay, their ability to read CD, DVDs, and data discs, of course, right? In which we could burn CDs, we could burn DVDs. During that time, Rush, Snakes and Arrows, okay, this is what, like 08-ish, came out with a hybrid disc. And on here, of course, is a 5.1 mix of Snakes and Arrows, a regular mix that you can play in your CD, and a video file that's much like a DVD menu. It actually has a menu on here, like a DVD. And this video file has what's called the Game of Snakes and Arrows, which is a documentary of them making Snakes and Arrows. This is the big bummer. Matt, you helped me, brother. It's actually right back here. I got this Blu-ray player. I bought it upon your recommendation. It does play this disc, but I cannot actually point to, and use the video file from this. It will not read that layer. I've yet to find a DVD player or a Blu-ray player in my house that can actually read the 5.1. It can play that back. Like I can play it right now on this Blu-ray player or that Blu-ray player. However, I can't. So I'm bummed about that. That documentary, The Game of Snakes and Arrows, was really cool. Rush, you know how you have the R50 collection? Please, let's do an R50 box set of your video content. Music videos, all these little sub-documentaries, updated versions of Game of Snakes and Arrows, or The Boys in Brazil, and all these great documentaries through the years. Let's put them all in one place, right? A playable Blu-ray. Rush, please, because I cannot play this. I wish I could. It was a great documentary. So yes, we went from DVDs that we've talked about to hybrid, which is like a DVD slash surround CD at the same time, to now finally Blu-ray. Okay, and there was a TV show on VH1 called Classic Albums. They covered 2 Rush songs during that TV show. One was 2112, the other one was Moving Pictures. And on this Blu-ray, okay, this is a great find. If you can find this, find it. Is 2112 and Moving Pictures. This full documentary they did about those 2 albums, and you could see the boys actually listening to the multi-tracks of these, and you could hear them playing the parts again, and just talking about a really deep dive into 2 of their greatest albums, easily, right? 2112, Moving Pictures. So now we're up to Blu-ray. And what do we get with Blu-ray? We get a better full surround experience for audio, and of course now we get high definition video. All right? We're full HD, 1920 by 1080p, resolution with 5.1 or greater surround. That's what Blu-ray brought us. Thank goodness, okay? I love the Blu-ray era. Of course, you guys probably know that there was a war. There always have been wars. Whether you're talking about Betamax or VHS or more modern times from DVD, but with Blu-ray or HD DVD. Did you know there was a war, by the way, between those 2 formats, HD DVD or Blu-ray? Blu-ray won. And what's really weird, throughout history, as format wars happened, right? This type of videotape versus this one, this type of disc versus this one, and so on through the years, guess what dictated the winner? The porn industry. Yeah. The flesh peddlers, those creeps, they're the ones that, when the whatever format they've chosen throughout history of these different format wars, which version we're going to use, right? Whatever they've chosen is the way the industry has gone. There you go. Little tidbit for you. All right, here you go. Oh, my machine is off. I should edit this out. Ready? All right, here we go. Now it's up. I'll do better next time. Next up, Blu-ray, Snakes and Arrows. You guys, who is this? All right, Blu-ray, okay, Snakes and Arrows, right? Next up, Time Machine. Love this Blu-ray. So good. And it's just such a good, amazing concert and recording of this concert. Love this. Clockwork Angels tour, okay? Blu-ray. Beautiful surround, beautiful images, well directed, okay? Love this disc. And here's what's great. For these two, because of kids and life and just life, I was not able to see these concerts live. Rush comes out with surround, high definition video. This is how I got to see these. And we're so blessed that they did this, right? We're so blessed that Rush made, since their comeback, right? After they came back in the early 2000s, Rush made so many videos, and I'm so thankful for that. Because this is how I got to see the Time Machine tour. This is how I got to see the Clockwork Angels tour. Very thankful for that. Another tour I did get to see, last one ever, of course, is R40, okay? And this is a great compilation where we have a Blu-ray plus 2 CDs of the full concert inside. And I believe the Blu-ray has a couple extra songs on it. But yes, R40, fantastic, great song list, great video, Blu-ray, surround, high definition. Another amazing thing is all these videos, Rush came out, right? Rush produced their own live videos through the years, and so many of these on Blu-ray. But then, of course, we are in the modern times. It came time, then they started making documentaries. People made documentaries of Rush. One of the best ones ever, of course, is Beyond the Lighted Stage. Fantastic, fantastic. Get it if you can, okay? And, of course, right towards the very end, actually at the very end, another documentary, Time Stands Still. This is more fan-focused. This one focused, of course, upon Rush, its entire history up until then, with lots of great interviews with actors and other musicians and people who played on the stage with them through the years. But this one was really fan-centric, from fan and user cons and all that, like RushCon. But still, fantastic, by the way. And I mean, how cool. I love it when they do that. So, Blu-rays. Now, one Christmas, my mom and my wife surprised me. And what a great surprise it was with this. The R40 Blu-ray book. It's not a box set, but it's a book. Oh, inside I have a classic Star Wars, by the way. Man, what year is this sucker? It's really old, though. With the Kenner toys from Star Wars. Okay, moving on. All right. Yeah, my nerd stuff never ends, guys. It never ends. All right, but so inside here, fantastic open, okay? All these great concert tickets and stuff. It has a massive picture book, okay? Pictures of Rush through the years. A lot of great pictures through here. And the beginning, let's see who wrote this. As usual, there's a story. Okay, Martin Popoff. Told you. Yeah, he's done a lot of their stuff through the years. So, this covers so much, and here's why. They went back, and remember we talked about R40, Russian Rio, and R30 being on DVD? Well, they were remastered for Blu-ray. So here's Russian Rio on Blu-ray. R30. Can I spin that around? Yeah, R30 on Blu-ray. Of course, Snakes and Arrows was already on Blu-ray, but on Blu-ray. Another page. And the next up we have Time Machine 2011 Blu-ray. And this final page is actually really cool, where we have the R40 tour, okay? Clockwork Angels. But then there's an entire bonus disc card called the R40 disc, which has a lot of cool archival type footage, interviews, and then what they call the completist disc. And actually, that's my retrospective. Where's my completist disc? There it is. My completist disc. Yeah, this is another retrospective 3 disc, by the way. So, all right, but we're up to Blu-ray. where it has even more archival footage. Okay, this was such a great, because it brought everything to modern times. The Blu-ray menus feel a little rushed. No pun intended. Oh, here we go. Thank you. But they do feel a little rushed, okay? But it's still a Blu-ray, right? This was remastered in high definition with better surround sound, either HD or like DTS or Dolby. So it's just fantastic. This is a great book. Pick it up if you can. The R40 Blu-ray collection, and it updates the old stuff, gives you copies of the new in case you didn't own them already. Which, of course, as I've proven, I've already owned all of those on Blu-ray, right? So another copy. But yeah, this was such an amazing Christmas present several years ago. Heck, at this point, that's like almost like 10 years ago, right? But I love this book. It's a great book with really cool cover art as usual, right? So there you go. So through the years, we've gone from VHS tape to DVD to, of course, all these Blu-rays to the Blu-ray book. And that is something that really feels like it's missing. With the R50 big box set collection that we're going to cover in this video, we're going to do another deep dive into it. Video is missing. Where's the video? We need an R50 video boom, right? Let's just bring it all to the table. Everything. Let's just dump it all. I want that. I want to watch Rush, not just listen. I have it all, okay? And yeah, there was a couple little bonus songs in there, but imagine if that included Blu-rays and archival footage and all those music videos brought to Blu-ray, even if they're 4:3, up-res to HD, great. Oh man, I would Rush, please, an R50 video collection. That would be so fantastic. Your next project. I know, Getty, you would love to work on that one. So before I made this video, I was cleaning up this room, which is what we call the office here in the house, but it's a room in which I do all my video production. And I'm cleaning it up, and I found some really cool stuff along the way. One of which is a Columbia House book from 1992. And if we look close enough here, you can see that there's chronicles and signals and moving pictures and permanent waves, all the way down to Presto. And also, there might be a Roll the Bones in here as well. But this was really cool. The fact that I had this ancient book, and look, of course, as a timestamp for when we knew this was, you can see that there's Nirvana here on the cover. But the fact, right here in the middle of this Columbia House book, is an entire section on Rush. Obviously, this is why I saved this book. So that was really cool. In the same year I was married, 1996, Neil Peart came out with The Masked Rider. He traveled throughout Africa, riding his bicycle. And the stories he tells in this book are crazy. Neil Peart, the best drummer of all time. Arguably one of, if not the best lyricist of all time. This brilliant mind. And what does he do for his fun time? He travels through Africa, and there he tells stories of living in these huts, in these completely dilapidated so-called motels, where the only thing that resembles a toilet or a bathroom is a bucket in the corner. And of course, what he ate and drank on that trip didn't agree with him half the time, and he talks about having to purge himself through the night. Ridiculous! It's just hard. It's a cognitive dissonance, like Neil Peart of Rush is having to use a bucket in the corner. Insane. And I love that in the cover of this, my mom writes me a note. To my son, with much love, Mom. She gave this to me for Christmas, 1997. This is The Masked Rider. Continuing his travel books, Ghost Rider. Yeah. We all know about Ghost Rider. And with a heavy heart, I even bring this up. But, following the loss of his family and then finding Carrie right? Finding love again. But it's that dark, dark journey where he sought out these great landscapes in the majesty of creation on his motorcycle, something like 70,000, if not more, miles on his motorcycle through North America, up near the Arctic Circle, down into South America, all over the United States, through Canada. He rode his motorcycle, looking for peace. We know and love that song, right? Ghost Rider. Well, this is of course the book, Ghost Rider. Brilliant, brilliant book. Neil then went on to write traveling music. I am missing my dust cover on this, wherein he talks about road music, and he actually takes a road trip and has, I believe, a CD changer in his trunk or in his car with and he loads it up and he listens to CDs by other bands. One of which I remember him talking about is like Linkin Park, and how he talks about how he just hears the pent-up energy and the excitement to play really hard, great music. And he was impressed by Linkin Park, and I love that. But yeah, the traveling music, all right, where he gives it. And by the way, of course, having found Carrie at this point, this book is dedicated to Carrie, which is great. Let's see. Let's check out. Ghost Rider is dedicated to... Ghost Rider, dedicated to the future with honor to the past. We're only immortal for a limited time. From Dreamline, 1991. That's the dedication in the beginning of Ghost Rider. He then wrote Roadshow, where he talks about his motorcycle journey that coincided with going on a tour. And it's called Roadshow, by Neil Peart. Landscape with Drums, a concert tour by motorcycle. I love this, though. Inside the cover, and I was inspired by this. These are stamps that Neil would collect at parks, national parks, as he rode throughout North America. He loved our national park system, and I do too. I think it's just beyond words amazing that the United States has set apart massive swaths and acreage of land preserved in its original state. I love that. I love that stewardship of the earth. And because of this, in one of my notebooks, I actually have a couple, 3 stamps from national parks that I went to, like one on Cape Cod, maybe one in Maine. Anytime we were close to a national park, I had to go get a stamp inspired by Neil. And I just love that. This one, Roadshow, dedicated to my bandmates and brothers, Alex and Getty, for 30 years of collaboration and laughter, and to my loyal, entertaining, and crash-worthy writing partners, Michael and Brutus. Yes, that's right. I believe this is for the R30 tour, because he talks about, yeah, this is right there, R30. Of course, we all know the last album, Clockwork Angels, a masterpiece of music and lyrics. The Garden is like prophetic in that it was Neil Peart's. It's the last track on the very last album. But of course, with Kevin Anderson, wrote a novelization of the story of Clockwork Angels. I actually have 2 copies of this because my dad or someone borrowed it and I had to get another copy. So 2 copies of Clockwork Angels, but hey, I have no problem with that. But of course, this came out around 2011, 2012, around the time of the album. And it's dedicated to Olivia and to Harrison, who are only just beginning all the journeys of a great adventure. Yeah, dedicated to his daughter. It's beautiful. So that's Clockwork Angels. Of course, there are a couple sequels to Clockwork Angels, one of which is Clockwork Lives. I have read Clockwork Angels more than once. I've listened to the audiobook. If you get a chance, find the audiobook of Clockwork Angels. Neil Peart reads it. He's the one who reads the book, and his baritone voice is just so great telling that story. So check that out. Check out Clockwork Angels audiobook. But yeah, this is Clockwork Lives, where he continues some of the sub-stories and other characters of the Clockwork Angels. I have not read this, and that's why I brought up having read Clockwork Angels and listened to it multiple times, is I've not yet read this. I do own it, obviously. So that is a mixture of fiction and non-fiction. Neil Peart also wrote a blog, which I believe you can still find archived on, like neilpeart.net, something like that. And you can look it up. But his blog, where he blogged about his different journeys and experiences, or the cabin, his house by the lake or the pond he used to go to in Canada, snowshoeing stories, one of which he's shaking his hand at the Red Eye of Sauron, which is what he called the cell phone tower they put near his thing, right? It just bothered him so much that they built a tower near the peaceful tranquility and the call of the loons soaring over the peaceful pond, right? And he'd ride his canoe and just be one with nature out there. Neil loved that. And then he loved to go snowshoeing. And then he finally found it. And there's this great picture where he's shaking his hand. And so there are 3 books based upon his blog. The first one was called Far and Away, A Prize Every Time. Okay. There's a few pictures from it right there. His different stories and adventures. The next one after that is Far and Near on Days Like These. Okay. This is the follow-up book. Okay. And there's a third, a whole trilogy. Bring That Horizon to Me, Far and Wide. Of course, there's Neil on his motorcycle here. And this was mastering all of those blog entries and some additional content into written book form. So yes, there are 3 copies of that, okay? So if you're looking to read some intimate stories and adventures of Neil Peart, these are good for that. I have another book over here. I have 2 copies in my office right here. This is one of them. This is a hardbound book of the Adventures of Tom Sawyer. You all know why I'm pointing this one out. Happened to be over here. And Neil Peart, illustrated quotes. Okay? Different quotes by Neil Peart through the years. And I actually made a video about this once. Okay? You can see. There's Neil out here snowshoeing while Getty's recording a track. And different quotes. Let's see. Travel is its own reward, but traveling among strangers can show you as much about yourself as it does about them. Yeah, Neil Peart loved to just be a guy in the diner, meeting the locals, having a conversation, and then getting back on his bike and riding. And that's kind of what this is alluding to, is his conversations with strangers, where it doesn't matter that he's Neil Peart, right? Of Rush. He's just a guy with a baseball cap, having a cup of joe in the morning and chatting with the locals. Neil loved that anonymity as he traveled. Of course, we all know this. I've made a couple videos about this. Silver Surfers. This only came out, this past year? And Carrie helped put this together. A whole book about his car collection, which has been, I believe, all, if not mostly, sold off by this point. But there we go. He loved these cars, right? With the one black one there in the foreground. Sports cars of the 60s. And a great picture of Neil on the back. So Silver Surfers, and this came out after Neil passed. Another book, and my goodness, this sucker is heavy. But I'm really proud of this one. This one is cool. Rush, Wandering the Face of the Earth, the official touring history from 68 to 2015. That's right. Every tour and nuance and show date with pictures and details and ticket sales and locations and set lists. It's all in this book. This massive book of touring information. Page after page after page after page. And it's hardbound and it's heavy. And my goodness, see, if I ever do get a boat, no, I would never use this as an anchor, but it's heavy enough to be one. So yeah, this is it, man. This is the official touring book, okay? The sucker is massive. Great picture of Ged and Alex with their double necks on the back. It's cool stuff. Through the years also, Rush has been in many different magazines. I picked this one up not too long ago Modern Drummer Legends. This entire book is about Neil Peart. By the way, I think that's the drum set that's hanging on my office wall. I look at it, it's right above where I sit right here. And you can't see it in the camera, but it's up there. But yeah, this is just a book filled with Rush stuff and Neil stuff, and it's just really great. So this is kind of a big, thick, very expensive magazine, but I had to have it, of course. Another one right here. 55 Years of Rock's Most Powerful Trio, Rush. That's right. Look at that. Snoop Dogg's in the back. All right, so yeah, and this is just stories and different anecdotes, and we've all seen that picture, of course, like in the movie and the documentary. Different Rush pictures. Great Wild North. So this is another one. Great, thick, kind of a specialty magazine. This one, towards the end, of course, Rolling Stone finally had to give it up and give them some props, right? They finally did it. And this was it. This is the cover. Twilight of the Geek Gods. What a great... I mean, it's just great to finally have them there. Did we need Rush on the cover of Rolling Stone for them to be valid? To be the best? No, of course not. It would never, had they never graced the cover, that wouldn't have mattered a lick to us, right? Wouldn't have mattered. But they did. And they are. And I have 2 copies. Actually, I have like 4 or 5. But these are the 2 that are out right now. Yeah, this was special. And needed no. Great that it happened. So there you go. Rush on Rolling Stone. Of course, there were books that were written about Rush that were not written by Rush. One of which is called Mystic Rhythms, the Philosophical Vision of Rush. Okay? All right, so if you're looking for like a deeper insight into their lyrics and their music and stuff like that, this is one of those books. This is another one. Rush Frequently Asked Questions by Max Mobley, or FAQs. And this is just all kinds of just tidbits and information about Rush. Earlier I mentioned, an example of a couple pages there. Of course, Trailer Park Boys, I mentioned that. And then, of course, the great documentary, Beyond the Lighted Stage. Different club dates they played. Information. And a second ago, I saw a picture from I Love You Man, but I've lost it now. But yes, Rush FAQ. So, the philosophic look at Rush, frequently asked questions, and contents under pressure. 30 years. So this came out around our 30 years of Rush, a home and away. And this one is by, of course, you probably know this name, Martin Popoff. He's written a lot about Rush. In different intros to different books and even liner notes of some of the live albums, I believe. He's written, and I think maybe he even wrote the R50, and we're going to find out when we take that deeper look. But yes, this is a great little book, Contents Under Pressure. Okay? Great picture on the back. Come on. Look at that picture. All right, the guys at work. So those are 3 different books about Rush. Okay, adding to the Rush library that are not actually written by them, but about them. Okay, so yes, so many great books. Now, Neil Peart was influenced by so many things. Everything from Shakespeare. He's quoted the Bible. Of course, Ayn Rand. Okay, so we're going to bring up Ayn Rand right now. And one book that was so highly influential, this is one of 2 copies, is Anthem. In high school, I went and got a copy. It's my other copy, but this is the 50th anniversary edition. I got a copy of Anthem, and I read it. And I love in the documentary Beyond the Lighted Stage where Sebastian Bach is joking. He's cracking wise and riffing that, like, I can't believe this band's got me all fired up about literature. Yeah, it's true. A band. And guess what? I went out and bought the books. And I didn't stop there. Okay? I got this Ayn Rand. I got The Fountainhead. I got Atlas Shrugged. Okay? I had to get all of her stuff. I'm kind of a completist that way. And this I picked up in an antique shop. This is a hardbound of Atlas Shrugged. Look at that with the AR on the front for Ayn Rand. And I think, I'm not sure if this used to be a library book, but the point is it's a very old hardbound book of Atlas Shrugged. Let's see, the date on this, 1957. So, really old stuff, but yeah, I'm kind of proud of this one. I've got like a really old hardback of Atlas Shrugged. That's just some of the stuff. Of course, Neil was influenced by so many things. I've mentioned Ayn Rand, I've mentioned Shakespeare, but also, of course, Tolkien. Okay, actual songs were named after Lord of the Rings stuff, right, or after The Hobbit, and so he was heavily influenced by that fantasy stuff. And we know Twilight Zone was influenced by Twilight Zone, sci-fi and fantasy, my two greatest loves and passions in life. Influenced so much of Rush's music and or Neil Peart's lyrics. What about a perfect marriage that is, right? The fact that these two worlds are coming together, my favorite things, and my band loves it too and actually writes about them. And the sci-fi opera, 2112, come on. So there you go. That's a little bit of Rush's catalog here. There's just holding up some of the books right there, okay? Mask Rider, all the way up to Clockwork Lives. So many great books through the years. We know Getty has his memoir, My Effin' Life. And of course, his most recent is 72 Stories, which are like stories from his baseball collection. And in a way, that's what we're doing today, right? This is my Rush collection. Here's two more copies of Rush and Rolling Stone. Oh, here's another one I didn't show you before. This is classic rock. All right, so some classic Rush in here. I collect playing cards all over the U.S., Canada, wherever we go. I like to look for, a touristy kind of, but I love these, okay? These are Rush playing cards. That's right. That's right. Play some poker with Rush. And look at that. 10 of spades. The Peart. And look at this, okay? Jack. Alex. 10 of hearts. 4 of clubs. Ged. All right. Queen of Hearts. Nice. Alex on acoustic. I could go on. And by the way, check this out. There's all three boys. All three. So yeah, you get the gist. And check out, of course, iconic, right? Get the Starman on the back. This is drummer, classic rock, and of the greatest drummers of all time, Neil Peart, as you can see, is number 2. I'm not sure if these are in a list, like a numbered list, but he's right under John Bonham. There's Keith Moon, Ringo Starr, as you can see, okay? Look who's in here. There's the Gedmeister, okay? And right here, that's why I had it. Oh, that's a great picture. That is a great picture. Classic Rock Awards 2010. Geddy Lee right there at the top. Beautiful. Okay, so there's another magazine about Rush. And then this was kind of on the cover of that. And of course, the other drummer that we love, there's Portnoy. Here's a Rush calendar, okay, from 2012. Great year to have a calendar, if you ask me. And as you can see in here, some classic albums. So go from Rush, and it's a cheap sort of knockoff. But come on, it's Rush all year long. And this is a 2015. Okay, and you can see some of the pictures on the back for the 2015 one. More of a classic Rush take. This one, album covers. Okay, my wife and I were coming back a couple of years ago. Coming back from Florida. Okay, I was down in Tampa for a little while, and she drove down so we could have a little mini vacation driving back, right? A road trip. We stopped in Savannah, Georgia. That was beautiful. We stopped in, northern Georgia, of course, northern Florida, somewhere along the way. We're out looking for something to eat. We're staying in a local motel. It's like a pit stop in our road trip. And what do I come upon? A burger place called Rush's. I actually have video of this tucked away somewhere. It was an older phone. I'm not sure where the video file is. But yes, where I took pictures, of me. Great burgers, by the way. Smash burgers, right? The big flattened kind. Double cheeseburgers, what I got with all the fixins. It was amazing. With a fresh Coke and some fries. It was fantastic. Fabulous food fast. And if you want to check them out, it's www.rushes.net. Okay? Rushes. So if you want to look for a location and go and celebrate and actually go to a restaurant called Rushes, that's your guy. No, these are just paper clips. Anyway, guys, there it is. Rushes. Check it out. Rushes.net if you want to visit them on your own. This is it. 10 pounds. This sucker is massive. Massive. Massively heavy. Seriously, you want a good workout, just, get out this collection. And there's a good argument right there, right? With digital, there's no workout involved. So if you're looking to pump a little bit of iron, yeah, let's get the lead out. It is shrink wrapped, okay? And if you've seen the unboxing video, I believe there's a little hinge right here. Can you see that little corner? See the little corner right there? Yeah. Which allows you to kind of open it. So I'm going to be very careful with my grandfather's knife here. God rest his soul. And let's open this bad boy up. And the question remains, right? Physical media versus streaming. Today we can stream almost anywhere. I have my entire collection digitally, and that's where I do most of my listening. See if I can figure... Okay. All right, here we go. This is it. And by the way, look at that in the light. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, yeah. Inside, guys, there is a print inside of here. Can you see that? Drumsticks. So here we have the Rush 50, Fullness of Time. 50 Years of Rush, the official graphic novel. And inside, it's just as advertised. A graphic novel about Rush. Page after page. Illustration. Oh, yeah, that's cool. Illustration after illustration. Entire graphic novel. And then all these different Rush prints on the inside of the cover. In addition, I'm curious about something. Okay. Let's back this up. I'm really... All right, acknowledgements behind the scenes. I was curious who wrote this. David Calcano. So yes, an entire graphic novel. This is printed on... It's a hardback book. It's really cool. That's beautiful. Again, I'm giving my opinion. You decide whether you like it. Inside, kind of see that print right there? All right, these are like lithos, art. You can see Clockwork Angels. It's a big heart. Fly-by-night owl. And here's a hot air balloon. And the circus, like the carnies, Clockwork. Got some satellite dishes. Kind of a half the world fence, maybe? Ooh, yeah. Yeah, can you say countdown? That is a shuttle. That is a shuttle taking off. Very cool. And then here's a big old... Presto? Yeah. I like that. 2112. Yeah. All right, so a bunch of lithos representing the artwork through the years of the different Rush albums. So now we have all the vinyl out. All right, so side one, Not Fade Away, You Can't Fight It, Working Man Needs Some Love, Before and After, Bad Boy, Garden Road, Anthem, Fly By Night, Bastille Day. Yeah, so obviously, earliest years right here. That's the first one. the second one, side 3 and 4 of the vinyl. We got 2112 by Tor Snowdog, Something for Nothing, Closer to the Heart, Xanadu, and a drum solo. Side 7 and 8 of the vinyl. Tom Sawyer, Limelight, You Know Where We Are Now. Vital Signs, YYZ, Subdivisions, Red Sector A, Witch Hunt, and New World Man. Here we go. Side 5 and 6. Just skipped one. The Trees, Olivia Strangiato. In the Mood, Spirit of Radio, Natural Science, and A Passage to Bangkok. Side 9 and 10. Big Money, Time Stand Still. Distant Early Warning, Semiconductor. Dreamline, Stick It Out, Test for Echo, and the Rhythm Method of the drum solo. And here we go, side 11 and 12. One Little Victory, Cygnus X-1 live. The Seeker, Between the Wheels live. Main Monkey Business, Working Them Angels live. And Free Will live. And finally, sides 13 and 14. Red Bruschetta live. Headlong Flight. Manhattan Project live. What You Doing, Working Man, Garden Road Medley live. 7. Vinyl. Through the Years. Representing all of the Rush albums. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, and these have a nice glossy finish to them. Okay? The printing on the but kind of a matte back to them. So glossy up front, matte up back. Yeah, I'm digging this one, man. Looks like an alien planet with a kind of a mothership in the distance, and then 3 sun or lawn chairs. That's pretty cool. A hardback Rush 50 book. Inside, these look like hand-drawn R50s on the inside. Oh, that's interesting. Looks like the skyline of Toronto. You can see the needle there. The lake next to it. I've been to Toronto, by the way, back when I was traveling for work. This is a story or an article or, yeah, this is Working Men, Rush in America. Inside, we have some classic photos here. Yeah. And yeah, we're working our way all the way up through. There's some really nice photos in here, guys. Yep. All right. There's like the Counterparts / Test for Echo. Because, I mean, he's playing his Paul Reed Smith there. So what is that? That's at least Counterparts era. Test for Echo, maybe? Yeah. I think. Don't hate me because I may not know. Ah, cool. There's even a bookmark in here, guys. I love it. And the bookmark says Rush 50. Beautiful shot of Neil in his drum set. And remember, guys, if you want the multicam of this, you can go over to Rumble. And please follow me there. It'd be awesome. But yeah, oh, and back here, there's a big center image. And there's a really beautiful girl in the middle of this. That's a departure for Rush. Okay. Let's see. Oh, Tom Sawyer. Okay, whoa. Was that Coldfire? I'm spitballing here. Let's find out. Oh, yeah. Can you guess what song would be the beautiful girl? Guesses? In the Mood. Yeah. Okay. Yep. I know I've been there. Okay, moving on. Northern Lights. Picture of silhouettes of 3 guys. A giant. Oh, that's beautiful. Beautiful wave. And the hydrant. For Vital Signs. So yeah, we have a bunch of and I assume Hugh Syme did this, right? I mean, you have to assume they're still working with Hugh Syme. I have no idea. But, okay, so at the back, this big, lengthy story of Rush. And then all of those beautiful pictures, right? There's acknowledgments, there's the crew, there's the management. They list all of them. Oh, here we go. Here we go. There he is. I don't know. My mind thinks of AI, robotics, when I see Assume Control with that imagery. Exit stage left. So at the back, as you can see, 4. And they look kind of like coins to me. These are the 4 CDs. You know, when they listed all those tracks online, all those streaming tracks that I showed you, yes, of course. They're referring to these 4 discs. I've spent many decades with Rush. And this isn't just coming from me. You have told me. how important they have been to your story, right? As they've been to mine. As Neil has been to mine. This is a beautiful collection. Let me know if you think it's worth it. 7 vinyls, 4 CDs, the graphic novel, all of those lithographs, the story of Rush. Thank you, Rush. Getty, Alex. And may you rest in peace, Pratt, the Professor Neil. You've meant so much to us, and I thank you